eyes when I'm trying to do stuff here. I need to go and find my live chat. And then I will throw a link in there, get GM to try to jump into the call like he did last night. He was just doing a good stream on 9/11 and shit like that. We started talking in the chat. He tried to get me on it, fucked his whole stream up. So, typical YouTube fuckery in Google. It was weird. How am I sounding, by the way? I sound okay?
I had to rejoin because you froze up, but I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
I'm inviting OG. Is that cool?
Yeah, you betcha, man. Anybody with a face, no avatars tonight.
Right on.
Hey, let me see.
I just caught the very end of GM stream.
Yeah, it was good, man. He was showing a bunch of cool videos and taking suggestions on stuff to show. And, you know, like the spire really freaked me out when I seen that. But then I realized now that's just freaking, as it's falling, it's got so much dust from the debris that it's disappearing in its own dust footprint, which is a hell of a lot easier to understand than a directed energy weapon, right? Like normally the simplest solution is usually the correct one, right?
Well, I actually got a lot of interest in that stuff, and it
energy weapon, right?
Yeah.
Like normally he's got it is usually the correct to mute some shit. Some stuff. I mean stuff. Kid show, eh? We're trying to have a kid show here, man. Quit swearing. Yeah, I had a great night, man. I went out and did some running around, like freaking all over the place, and then ended up in a pub with a bunch of my cougar buddies, and it was funny. I had 3 cougars playing around, freaking sitting on my lap and stuff. And the other guys at the little pub were like, "What's that guy got that I don't have?" So it was pretty fucking funny.
I guess OG's feeling too tired to come on live.
Yeah, I don't blame him. You just tell him that it's all about the face, man. As soon as I get this thing fired up. Wow, is this ever a different layout? Where the hell is my chat?
Yeah, it kind of looks like everything's kind of changed up a little bit.
Oh, there's some chat anyways. How do I grab that and make that bigger? No, that's not it. Hey, GM, can you try to join this call? I'm having trouble sending out links as per normal, or just type your email in the comments and I'll highlight it and stick it in there and send you an invite. Hey Vessel, how are you, man? Welcome over here. There's Aras Sadek. Wish I could pronounce that. There's Landraver.
Looks like maybe he's going to come in. That's cool.
Who, GM or OG?
OG.
Can't anyone just spell a name like Treach or fucking Freddy anymore? What's going on with all these consonants and vowels for no particular reason?
Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead, load me a bowl, man. Fuck it.
Yeah. This is we're doing it live. Everyone, light up if you got them. Hey, Christina, how are you? Nice to see you. I'm glad that nobody at all sleeps. Well, thanks for your sub, man. I'll try to slide over and give you one back here. You may hear a bunch of weird noises coming from my tablet. She seems to be hurting today. Let's see. Grandmaster 420 at Gmail. GM. I'd imagine it's a GM thing, or is it GM CDXX at Grandmaster? We'll go with Grandmaster 420 first. I'm gonna end up inviting some rapper from Detroit.
He'd just be plugging his next album and shit.
Yeah, he'll be like, yeah,
fuck that shit. My album releases in February, yo.
Is Grandmaster Flash still alive? Because that would be kind of cool to have him on, wouldn't it?
You know, it seems like he probably is, or you would have heard about it. You know what I mean? He's definitely one of those icons you would hear about.
Well, what about Eddie Murphy? Did he die? When the hell did he die?
So Eddie Murphy? No, it's Charlie Murphy. His brother
Oh,
died.
Charlie Murphy. Yeah, I knew about him, but then
And what people
must have.
don't realize is Charlie Murphy actually wrote most of Eddie Murphy's jokes. If it
Yeah, well,
wasn't
he
for
was a
Charlie
pretty
Murphy,
brilliant
Eddie Murphy
guy,
would
right?
not have been as successful as he was, and continues to be, actually.
Yeah, it's again,
He
it's hard
was,
to.
dude, if you had never seen any of Charlie Murphy's stand-up, dude, that guy has some of the best, just most comic genius that you'd ever imagine. And it's exactly what you think it would be. It would be about gangster stuff and, street life.
Here, I gotta go back.
But be damned if it's not some of the funniest content and how he presents it. You know what I mean? Excuse me. Yeah.
GM, it's not sending through that. Do you have access to sending links here as well, Terrace, through the Google Hangouts?
I just copied and pasted the link that you gave me already. I don't see an option to add people in here myself.
Lady Onyx showed up. Nice to have you here. I've talked to you a few times over at GM's. Welcome to the Shillhammer, my backup channel. And coming soon, because you requested it, fucking Frodo will be born. We're not sure what the fucking Frodo channel will be, but I'm sure it'll be just as stupid as this one. Yeah. Hey, give me another email. That one's not going through. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense why that didn't go through.
Do you want me to post the link in the live chat?
Yeah, you can do that too while I'm trying to muck this around here.
Oh, it won't let me because I'm not a moderator.
Oh, for fuck's sakes. Here, hold on a sec, dude. Doesn't and does it. Here, let me make you a mod. There you go. You're a moderator. This
All right.
GM guy might get a mod thing here for the chat. Here we go. GM is a moderator too. Give yourself a link, GM.
Okay, you modded my Terrace and not my Tourette's channel. It's all good. I got it.
Well, whatever one was in the whatever was in the thingy. Yeah, try that link, GM. Actually, any one of you can try that as long as you don't, say fuck or shit or like duties with us.
Onyx, hi, I am. I just seen you over in DM's chat. What's up, everybody? Eris Sadek. What's up, man? Or
Chris Sadek. Where are you from, Eris? It's a pretty wild name. There we got GM in there. Right on, man. How's it going, brother?
I'm just chilling, dude.
Yeah, I know. Fucking, can we all hear each other? Can everyone hear us out there?
Yeah, that sounds great, man. It's perfect.
I don't know what the fuck happened to your shit earlier.
It could be that the mic, well, right now I'm on that Yeti, right? So it could be that the mic in these shitty headphones, because I only buy them to plug into the bottom of the Yeti.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what's going on.
Well, you said they're $2 headphones, so.
Man, I don't like spending any more than that because the cat has got some sort of fixation with grooming. And what it does is ruin my stuff. Let me go over here. GM, I'm going to make you the primary screen because you were showing some interesting stuff. So there you are. Everybody's looking at you. And what is that picture from? Is that like some sort of vampire movie or what is that?
It's Dr. Shrinker.
Dr. Shrinker. There you go.
I've never even heard of that. It sounds awesome.
The dude standing next to the gun, the little dude, I remember him from like 60s movies and stuff, man. It was
Billy Barty. Or something
Billy
like that.
Barty? Is that who that is? Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. I know the guy now. He's done tons back in the 60s and 70s before he passed. I don't even know how old the guy got, but I imagine he didn't live too long. All right, when you're choking on your weed, you must mute your mic.
I'm probably just gonna stay muted unless I have something to say. How about that?
Nah, shit. I know I was really pissing off OG the other day by click talking to the chat and stuff without muting. I'm kind of a dick that way. Oh, you're from Cali too. Right on.
I'm waiting for OG's supposed to be joining in as well. I'm waiting on him to click the buttons.
Did you get in from that link in the Hangout or in the YouTube chat, GM?
Yeah, in the chat box there.
See, that's like Russian roulette with these links. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. When I used to hang out on like Doughboys and Jamie's chats and stuff, like I don't know whenever that was, because time slips, but it wasn't. It was never possible for us to jump in through chats anymore. And then I bumped into like kind of like the Gandalf clique, Gandalf, and I don't remember Rufus or Amy being there, but guys like Truth Undenied was there, and a few other guys, and they were jumping through their chats from YouTube, links like that. I was like, how are you guys even doing that? Because it was like months and months where we couldn't do that, any of us, right? So
I thought Gandalf was what's his name? That one dude.
I don't know. Everybody gets accused of being somebody else on here. Like what's it called for an uprising? I bumped into channels that, man, I just sat there and listened, and it was just bizarre. Hey, there's Mad Pie Man. Hey,
I'll tell you who he is.
Mad, try to jump into that lake, or we'll throw you another one. See if you can jump on here.
A call for an uprising. I believe that he is. You ever watch what's that show Redacted Tonight?
Yeah.
The
The
guy with the glasses.
Yeah.
Listen to him and then listen to a call for uprising. Same voice, same way of talking.
Well, you know what we do have to remember in this world, though, eh? Like I've got a doppelganger that floats around in my same area. Only my hair's a lot longer than him. But my sister sat across from this guy on a bus, and she said it was the weirdest thing because she knew it wasn't me, but it was identical to me. I call it. And the funny thing, if it is my doppelganger, I'm actually the evil one. So it's like,
I've got a funny story to share on that doppelganger issue. My brother, my actual brother, he much bigger guy. He's probably 6'4", 6'5", and just extremely big. He played football and all that shit. He was just huge. Always, outweighed me by a ton. And he definitely liked to use that to his advantage. But he started dating this chick, and I swear to God, man, like in the face, they looked dead alike. All right, so we had nicknames for him, and I'll go ahead and tell you, his was Fat Bastard, and she was the Ugliness, and together they were the twins. Well, anyway, I'm sitting here watching. I think we were watching a football game. I'm sitting there next to my brother watching a football game, and nudging each other and the whole nine, and watching the game. And I think it must have went to halftime or something. And my brother stood up, and I look over, and I'm like, why does my brother have girl legs? And it was actually her. I'd been sitting there next to her the whole time, and I thought I was sitting next to my brother. I about shit my pants, man. I'm not kidding you. And they had a child together, which she ran off. Nobody seen her or the baby ever since. This was probably 10, 15 years ago. So I often wonder what their daughter ended up looking like, with the parents. I mean, oh my God, dude, they looked so much alike. It was uncanny.
Yeah, that's weird. So did your brother have kind of like girl legs, like to begin with?
No. He, like I said, he's a big, manly type dude. He's big, big, just disgusting guy. You know what I mean? And she, not to make her look bad as far as her character. She for the time that I knew her, she seemed like a decent person, a sweet girl or whatever. But oh my God, man, just really, I just couldn't. It was kind of an inside joke between other relatives and why there was an attraction there. You know what I mean? I just can't imagine dating somebody that looked just like me in my face. It'd be just so weird, man.
Hey, man, if there was a chick out there that looked just like you, I would hope you would want to. Hey, That girl is familiar and hot.
No, I would make an extremely ugly and awkward looking girl. I'll tell you that right
yes,
now.
you would, especially with that fucking haircut. Especially with your haircut, man.
Even with my manicured eyebrows, you know what I mean? Like,
Yourself manicured. I can't believe you subliminally manscape. Think of it that way, and that should stop you from. Made you choke on your toke. Fuck. Hey, Misha, you ever been on a stream? You want to feel nervous and awkward for a little while until you realize it's just like talking to a human
I'll
being?
share another funny story.
I would love to have Misha on, man. I want to hear her accent.
Hell yeah. Back when me and my wife was on our ecstasy rolls, you know what I mean, for a few months there, I let her pick on me, and man, I guess she had found an ingrown hair in my fucking eyebrow or something, and just went to town on it. And we were on those pills, you know, God knows what was in those drugs, so you know we spaced out, didn't even realize what was going on. Man, you should have seen me the next day. Half of my face was swole up and purple and shit. She had went crazy on me, and I still was out there in the streets hanging out with my friends, and everybody's like, "What the fuck happened to you?" Like, dude, yeah, you know, drugs. It's funny now, you know. At least we can laugh about it now, right?
Yeah, well, you know, we've all gone down dark paths, right? Anybody who hasn't freaking tried something they shouldn't, you know, they're not living. I caught a little bit of Rufus Cat stream today, and they were talking DMT with Johnny Supertramp, and he has like I missed a lot of it because I freaking slept in so late because of you and doing that freaking stream till 6 in the morning. But so I was a little bit behind with shit to do, and but it was neat hearing from Supertramp because he's done DMT so much times. He's actually pushed the limits, I think, because that stuff you're supposed to do and then chill and like, you know, the I don't know if it's doorways of your perception.
Yeah, I guess I got through with my you know, trying different things phase before that stuff was really known or whatever. I know there's an Appalachian tribe or something that's been doing it for centuries, but as far as it being like a mainstream drug, I don't think I've ever even been offered it, man. I don't even know how you would do it or anything. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess the parts that I caught of that stream, Supertramp was talking about he did DMT till about 4 in the morning, just like, you know, up and down, like in and out of whatever reality slip that is, right? And then at a certain point at like 4 or 4:30 in the morning, he said that he just went fuck it, and he banged back as many as he could before you kind of you know, you go on your trip.
Right.
So yeah, he by doing that, and I'm not recommending this to, all right, kids, drugs are bad, okay, but you know, he's they're called psychonauts, right? You push the limit with psychedelics to try to break through into, I don't know, like I don't even know what the right word is, but perhaps like a different reality, or like an enlightenment perhaps is a better word for it. And he figures he achieved that by doing what he did, right?
Well, I'm gonna lie, I'm definitely intrigued, and you know, there's certain drugs that you know, if they were offered, I would do again. But I've never, I was one of the lucky few that never just let addiction get a hold of me, or was able to at least just quit doing things once they became a problem. You know what I mean? But oh, I'm very interested. I remember Joe Rogan talking about it and some other celebrities talking about it. I would say if one of the what is it, salvia, salvia was only the trip only lasted a couple of minutes, and so like in retrospect, it seems like it would be one that, you know, somebody would rather try over acid or one of the others that lasts for several hours. But salvia was literally, when I tried it the one time, it was one of the only times I was literally out of my realm and couldn't tell you what my name was or where I was supposed to be, and couldn't tell if my feet were on the ground or if I was in the air or anything like that. And I feel like salvia, from watching other people do it, because the trip itself just freaked me out. And I usually don't even, you know, the bad trips back in the day, I would just laugh at, and, you know, it was always funny to me. But the salvia trip is really weird, and it seems like salvia temporarily renders a person insane, like literally. And if you're watching someone's eyes when they're after they smoke salvia, they look, and if you look in their eyes, they look like a person who is literally insane, and there's nothing there connecting, you know, them to reality.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't really know about the salvia too much. I've only really seen, I can't remember, some star like Hannah Montana, whatever the hell she is. She did it, and she was sitting there babbling. And the thing that I find interesting about the DMT is, like, I know a buddy of mine, I don't know, he's did it about half a dozen times, maybe more. And it did have an effect on him, and it made him a hell of a lot more spiritual. But he was eventually told from whatever thing that he was visiting, and he called them kind of like insectoid people, which is bizarre in itself. But he was told by them, you've come here enough times. We don't want you to return. And that was kind of like, whoa, you know, like he took that to heart, and he never returned. But he would go. The first time he did it, according to him, he all of a sudden was looking at himself sitting on the couch, thinking, well, did this shit work? And then he realized, no, I'm looking at myself. And then all the colors behind the wall turned into a bunch of geometric, brightly colored, yeah, all swirling, doing weird shit. And then all of a sudden he was blasting through the universe. He actually remembers like leaving the earth and continuing out into the universe, kind of a thing, and ending up in another place. So that's pretty weird, right?
Some of the accounts that I recall, and that's kind of the what piqued my interest in it. And I'll be honest, my last job, my payroll job, I was a scheduler, production coordinator. It was a type of job that you had everything to worry about, basically, and it wasn't a type of position that you could just kind of half-ass do and not really focus on, you know what I mean? And because as a coordinator, you're making sure all the materials, hardware is where they're supposed to be. You're making sure all the dudes are where they're supposed to be and getting enough done that they're supposed to get done. Quality control, all that shit, dude. And there's so much more involved, especially when you get audited by your customer. There's just it's insane. An average coordinator's job or production manager's job is insane. And if it wasn't for my 20s, man, in my late teens and 20s when I started experimenting with drugs, if it wasn't for my acid trips, I honestly don't think that I could have ever done that type of job for 8 years or so. That's how long I was there. And just to be able to keep up with everything and there's a lot of organization skills that I probably, I honestly don't feel that I could have been able to see things on multiple levels like I can now without those experiences early on. And I'll also say, like shrooms, shrooms is a, every now and then type of thing. I think everybody should eat shrooms every now and then. It's therapeutic. It helps you deal with stress. It helps you work through problems and deep-rooted issues if you have them. and it would do a world of good for people that have pain, going through pain therapy and stuff like that. But acid is one of those things where I feel like you could definitely go too far.
Really?
There is a line.
When's the last time you took acid?
Dude, it was before my son was born, and he's 14. Since acid, for sure, it's been quite a long time. And I would do it again, but it's one of those things I would have to plan on, prepare for, and it would be just a once, maybe every other year, 2 or 3 years type of thing for me.
Yeah, that's what I do. I do it about once a year.
Yeah, I think that would be at best at most. But if I don't eat some mushrooms every 2 or 3 months, dude, I start getting angry and just it's like, dude, I'm getting pissed off here. I really need to take some time away and just have some giggles and shit. You know what I mean?
Well, they say that the positive effects of mushroom trips last for like 1 to 2 years. So you must be really pissy if you're having to do them once every 4 months.
I'm a angry little guy, dude.
I've only done shrooms a few times, and I really didn't like it compared to acid.
Hey, OG, if you don't want to jump on, man, it's no problem.
It's like,
I think I like shrooms just because they're just always a giggly experience. It's not a mental thing in general. You're not going to really learn much. At worst, you're just going to work through some skeletons and deal with some personal issues, and I think that people need to do that if they have shit bothering them.
I think I took some really strong ones every single time because it was just too strong compared to acid.
I think my experience has been opposite of that, but I don't know. I don't know how they make acid now, if it's different than it used to be, but back when, the stuff that we used to take, it was insane. Some of the liquid drops that I used to take was just insane. The velvet crystal liquid drops that we used to have.
It's as good as it's ever been.
You got a bit of an echo behind you, GM. Just letting you know, we can still hear you and stuff, but you definitely got an echo banging back at you.
That's weird.
Yeah, it happens. Who cares?
But yeah, I think
what did
a lot of this stuff. And I heard that they're talking about making using mushrooms in therapy more. I think that is the best thing in the world, man.
They're supposed to legalize it this year.
That'd be awesome. There's no reason that it should ever been put on a list, dude.
For like medical reasons in California.
Pyman brings up anything natural is the best. And that kind of, how our pineal gland secretes more or less, I don't know if it's DMT itself, because I always think when I think of DMT, I think of a man-made chemical kind of, right? But like, if our brains are secreting that naturally when we sleep, and it's probably creating the dream state, how can it be bad to get there? And then I really wonder, like, I'd like to meet someone that's done ayahuasca and the DMT, because I know that they're different, right? But the trips are quite similar, so it's bizarre, right? Like even the whole process of how ancient man discovered the ayahuasca, because it's a pretty big process. They're chewing stuff up and they're doing this, they're doing that. It's more than just licking a toad. And it's amazing to me that we could have figured that out. Like, how the hell do you figure that out and then perfect it to the point where anyone can boogie down to the Amazon, meet a decent shaman, and have a life-altering experience? Possibly. It's just the whole process of how humanity or humans figured that stuff out. Like, it's got to be some sort of an ancient knowledge passed down, 100 monkey, whatever, man. It's pretty cool. Yeah, fucking Freddy is Shillhammer. Shillhammer was my backup channel that I made as just to troll some dicks. And then I realized that I needed it to live stream and stuff on, because people don't like my content too much.
Yeah, I don't live stream on my research channel either, because I don't want to put that channel in danger. There's especially early on when I first started making videos, some of those videos I spent 40 plus hours on, you know what I mean? Just mainly because I didn't know what I was doing. I was taking the long routes and, you know, doing things hard. And I've shortened that up immensely for the most part, but still, I don't want that channel to get struck and all those videos get taken down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just ask people to always copy, like, you know, the David T interview and then the gunk thing. Those are the most important things for people to ever push forward long after these channels are gone. And, you know, if there's anything that anybody ever wants from my little endeavor on YouTube, this is a non-monetized channel. Use whatever you want. I don't care. There might be some valid stuff on there. Sift through the crap. But yeah, I don't know. Some of these people, I guess, are from GMs, right? Like lady, I want to say Onyx, but that's just how my trucker brain pronounces it. But what I do is, like, or how I got here was, you know, like going through an accident, being bedridden, looking at YouTube, and then getting involved in this truther community and going through all the rabbit holes one can go through. And then I realized that there's a lot of nefarious characters in this own little truther movement. So me and a few good people have looked at them, and we do a little bit of exposing.
It's a bunch of flat earthers.
Yeah, I mean, I studied flat Earth for a very long time, and, you know, my opinion on it, I'm not sure about anything, any reality, because I haven't seen this world from any point of view that, you know, is credible. I don't believe NASA or any other space agency is showing us anything to do with this reality. So yeah, I'm still open to the idea of it being shaped like a donut. I have no freaking clue, right?
I think some of those guys make some good points.
Hey man, flat Earth made me a more spiritual person. So if that's the only thing it's ever going to do for me, that's a very positive thing, right?
I brought up on a stream earlier. I was told by a good friend of mine who is into some super secret stuff, and I guess this probably could be verified pretty easily. But apparently, a lot of the major observatories were raided by the feds and shut down. Everybody's been kicked out.
When the hell was that?
Today, just a few hours ago. And there was some people on YouTube that were streaming some private channels or some private video, observatory video, showing some stuff behind the sun and everything, and their channels were immediately taken down off of YouTube. He was showing me a bunch of stuff while I was there, but I didn't get a chance to get any links.
What the hell is that?
I don't know, but I also haven't had a chance to really look into it either.
Any of the flat earthers in the chat or GM, have you heard about any of this stuff going on?
Nah, this is the first thing I heard.
Interesting.
Anybody that knows observatory sites that you like to go to, if you could click on one of those and see if they're operating and tell us, because from what he was saying, like a ton of observatories were all shut down sequentially. I mean, like
Matthew C says 4 different size shapes passing the sun. Matthew C, you want to jump on here if you know something about what's going on?
Project Bluebeam.
Shapes in front of the sun. Also, read this: shapes in front of the sun. Yeah, who knows at this point, man? Like, I always think back on von Braun's freaking assistant and what she released after his death, and I don't know if that's just another psyop or
what about his grave?
Yeah, well, it's also the firmament that's mentioned. Psalms. What is it? Psalms what? 19:3.
Waters above the earth and waters below the earth was mentioned in the beginning.
What's the psalm though? I'm testing my brain. Is it 19:3?
19:1, I think.
19:1. See, fuck, my brain's it's getting old, guys. That's from memory of about a year and a half ago.
Oh, but speaking of back to Bible references, there was some people that were claiming that the manna that fell from heaven is actually mushrooms, and that's why people were actually seeing God and hearing angels' voices and shit, because they were actually tripping on mushrooms.
I modded you, Matthew. You can drop links in there on what you're talking about. But the I don't know if anybody here's seen it, but the assistant of von Braun after his death came out and did a statement that von Braun told her of how the New World Order was going to gain control of the planet, and it goes through various steps of one was going to be natural disasters, and there's some really good evidence that these guys are controlling storms and shit like that now. And you know, you got to have an open mind to this shit. And then another step was going to be terrorist threats, and then there was going to be like an astrological body coming towards the Earth, which would be like an asteroid or a comet that was on a collision course with us. And
I don't believe any of that shit.
The last one was going to be a fake alien invasion.
Yeah,
and,
that's probably what's going on right now. The fake alien invasion. That's what I
man, if it happens, they're going to blow shit up and they're going to do a lot of stuff. But don't believe it's coming from outer space, because
that's why we all like need submarines.
Mike, mute your mic if you're choking on weed. That's the only rule on Shillhammer 2018.
Sorry, I thought I was muted.
That's okay, man. But yeah, like when you look at the footage of that whale in that gymnasium coming through the floor and splashing and shit, you know, like, and that's what they're showing us they can do. They're gonna make shit that you can just about touch. Like if they have that kind of technology in the private sector, imagine what DARPA's freaking made for, you know, holographic imagery and stuff. It's just amazing, man. I'm going to see. Can you make that any clearer on the chat? So I guess it doesn't really matter, GM. I like that you got the little control unit here. If only you could like superimpose all those guys down there puffing on pipes, we'd be laughing.
What do you want? You want it to be brighter or something?
No, it's hard to read.
All right, hold on.
I just think it's the most. Whenever you're on and you do shit like that, you make my channel a lot more interesting.
That's like
when China grabs anything I do and he freaking does his little China bit to it. You know, he adds the sad music or whatever. He always makes anything I do fucking 10 times better. So one of these days, man, I'll have a technical assistant. Maybe I'll get some investors one day, huh?
What you got to do is on Google Hangouts, where see the link, the gear link settings.
Yeah.
You go to settings, and do you have OBS?
No, man, I don't play with any of that crap.
You got to download OBS and OBS camera, so it'll give you an option. It'll say like whatever your webcam is or OBS camera, and then
the OBS camera you can
put this shit on right here.
Yeah. One of these days, man, somebody who's got even a slight amount of technical freaking expertise is gonna have to lock me in a room and teach me this shit.
I mean, that's it. I just told you.
Simple. Yeah, I know, but to actually tell me and then to think that I have a clue on what those English words were that you just spoke. Like I'm a freaking Neanderthal, right? I need to be shown and walked through on the simplest of tech, right?
Yeah.
You know, you smoke as many doobies as I have and been punched in the head quite a few times. You need a little bit extra help. Yeah, the holographic planes on 9/11 is an interesting theory, but regardless if the planes were real or not, we all know that buildings don't fall at free fall speed. And it takes more than 2 planes to drop 3 buildings and create a huge hole in the center of
4 buildings.
Well, that building 6, but the building 6 footage, it's weird, man. There's very limited shit of it, but even when you look at that, and they got great footage of the inside of that building, it's just like, what causes that? Did the whole building collapse? And then, like, shouldn't there be a shit ton more debris on the ground floor? I don't know.
What about the 1 or 2 frames that they released of whatever hit the Pentagon and nothing else? You know what I mean? That's the question people need to ask about the Pentagon footage. The FBI went around and raided all the gas stations and all the offices around the area that had cameras, and they took all the videotapes immediately when it happened.
And it's sliced in half. It's perfectly sliced through.
And also, the wall that got hit was just reinforced, you know, within weeks before that for that particular thing, type of attack to occur. And another thing, somebody put out a video maybe a year or so ago that it showed an advertisement. One of the major airlines was bragging about oh, now you can text and you know, email and make calls at 20, 30,000 feet. And this is, you know, just a couple of years back, they're bragging about it as this is something brand new. But if you listen to United 93 footage, you got people calling their mother saying, "Hi, this is Terrace Renfro, mom." Who calls their mom and gives them their full fucking name anyway?
Oh,
But,
from the calls? The calls
yeah, from
yeah.
United 93, the plane that didn't go anywhere, that, you know, the would they say it crashed somewhere out of course because
Pennsylvania.
passengers, you know, they had this heroic story, the passengers overtaking the terrorists and the plane crashed. But see, the problem with that story is and if you watch the theatrical movie that they made from it, these people are calling home and sending text messages home at 20, 30,000 feet, and that wasn't possible back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
they actually, there was guys who used their cell phones in planes right after 9/11, you know, within a couple of years of it anyways, when people started really asking questions. And the cell phones of the day couldn't reach down more than, I can't remember when they lost their signal, but the higher they went, the quicker they lost the signal, right? So the phone calls from the plane are very suspect unless they were flying like very low to the ground.
and the most comical one that I just freaking have a hearty laugh at is the terrorist passport that flew out of the plane as it hit the building and landed outside of the tower, unscathed on the ground.
Yeah, the impellers of the one or of the engine they found freaking sitting on the sidewalk. The impellers that sucked the air in through the motor were the wrong. Like that's how you can tell the difference between one jet engine to another. They all have specific characteristics, and that engine that they found and had the yellow tape on or whatever, it had the impellers of a totally different engine that didn't belong to the plane. There's so much back shit.
What about the size of the hole in the Pentagon? When a fucking a same plane size plane hit and took down two skyscrapers, but just put a small hole in the side of the Pentagon.
Well, they also moved in with track machines pretty quickly, like an excavator, and they beat the shit and made the hole bigger. If anybody's, oh, they did, man. They had this shit ready to go, right? So, you know, there's whatever. You know, what's amazing is that they can just get away with this shit, and everybody was so knee-jerk reaction when that happened. Nobody thought about, you know, what was it, Rumsfeld carrying a stretcher on the Pentagon lawn? Or it wasn't Cheney, it was Rumsfeld or Cheney. Maybe it was Cheney. But, you know, like one of the most important men in the world at that particular time was any high-ranking American official. They're not going to be carrying stretchers. They're going to be whisked away, thrown into a bunker 1,000 feet below the frickin' White House or whatever, and they're going to be a little busy.
Oh, another, sorry to interrupt you, but another thing. Remember the George W. Bush was in that auditorium, and he was apparently getting read to, or he was reading to kids. Remember when they came in and told him that supposedly they whispered to him that we were being attacked, and he sat there with that weird look on his face. Somebody had footage of what the kids were saying, and the kids were chanting plane, tower, they were chanting. The teacher was having them read words, and the words was basically exactly what was about to happen or what was happening. You know what I mean? As Bush was being told about it or whatever, right before he was being told about it.
Just fucked.
Yeah.
You know, I don't. You look at this truth movement. Oh God, what a stupid term. But you look at people that are looking for truth, and you compare the guys from now compared to guys that were like 10 or 15 years ago. And to me, it's like, will the next actor please show up for the audition to be the next truther? It just seems so freaking staged now. Even the people that are looking into evidence, right? Like Judy Wood talking about the directed energy weapons. Like, to me, that's a distraction from the fact that the NORAD got stood down, and
I
buildings
feel like
fell
it
apart.
would. I feel like it would be other than. Sorry to interrupt you, but what
Go ahead.
about those cities that were incinerated recently in cars?
What the fires?
Well, they're saying it was forest fires, but there was cattle that burned from the inside out, and there were trees that was burning from the inside out, and that's never happened in a forest fire before. And not to mention all the vehicles that were just completely incinerated.
Yeah, well, it's the vehicles sticking with the 9/11 shit. The vehicles that were by the East River, Hudson, whatever the fuck it was, but there's a shit ton of, and that was a long way away. And there's no way that some super hot gas from an exploding building suddenly rushes out and just touches those and doesn't incinerate a whole shitload of people along its way. Because those cars were like, what, half-mile away or something like that? You know, next time you're out and driving in your car, check out what a half-mile is, man. It's pretty far away. There would have been a bunch of charred bodies on the way to those cars. I don't know. Maybe I look at things too freaking like when nothing makes sense, nothing makes sense.
Yeah, it's true.
But again, the main thing in 9/11 isn't how the towers fell. It's like
Controlled demolition for sure.
well, it's not. It doesn't. You can. That's where the argument starts. The reality is the freaking NORAD shutting down, and all the acting going on. Like, there's so many things that are not conjecture, right? Like, you can't fly a paper airplane across the border or whatever without NORAD being scrambled or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's the tightest airspace in the world around the Pentagon. The most cameras and no footage and whatever, right? It's just, this world is just so fictitious. Hey, Lanny, what the hell are you doing up? What time is it? What's going on, Lanny? Throw that guy a link. He's a pretty cool dude.
I think they just GM already posted it.
Let's see if that works again. There's a Hangout link if you want to say hello. We can compare hairstyles. You'll always have a better mustache than me, Lanny, but, you know, I know other Lannys that have better mustaches, so, you know. 7 a.m. Jesus, I was out late tonight again.
You haven't been to bed yet either?
No, man, I was freaking busy and then having too much fun.
Yeah, I took the night off from work. I'm not going to work tomorrow night either. Been trying to stay home on the weekends and, you know, work on videos and do more stuff. Trying to just find new hobbies and shit, man, and just find a life again and try to separate myself from the internet as much as possible.
Well, that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
The Goyim know. We do know, man. We know.
Hey, where did you hear
McDonald's stash?
Where did you hear this stuff about the observatories?
A friend of mine, and honestly, dude, it was it's a dude I've known for many years, and he's always, dude, ever since I first met him, he would just spout shit, you know what I mean? And for a long time, dude, I would just kind of just ignore him. I wouldn't really listen to him because he would just spout information. And a lot of it just seemed really far-fetched, and a lot of it just didn't seem for real. And then all of a sudden, I get confronted with some crazy shit, and it was exactly what he'd been telling me about. And then once I realized that he wasn't full of shit, and I started listening, it's like, dude, I really need to pay attention to this guy. So every time I go around him, I you know, I just listen. I sit and listen and take in everything I can.
Yeah, it looks like there was a raid in New Mexico at an observatory.
Okay. Did they give any reason? What's the?
It says mystery surrounds FBI raid on observatory in New Mexico. But that's it. Just one.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, if we keep talking about it.
The thing that we need to remember about this this fucking end-all YouTube truther community is, like, I know guys that are in in think tanks and shit that are just internet-based, I guess, chat groups with like, my one buddy's in one with like 1,000 dudes. I know what they do. Like, he's kind of stepped away from it, but these guys really research, and they're not content creators on YouTube, because like, I don't mean to be too insulting here, but this is I don't know, man. I look at this shit and I just shake my head, right? Like, there are groups of people out there that are really researching and delving a fuck of a lot deeper than somebody that keeps spouting off the same nonsense week after week after week. So perhaps that guy, you know, is in one of these type of things where guys are actually sharing information on the down low, more or less, trying to figure out reality in a group or whatever. I think my buddy's actually, the group he's in is called Think Tank or something, but they go into like physics. They have physics areas where guys talk about, just what makes the universe tick and other things, and there's conspiracy little corners of it and stuff. He described it to me one time. It looked pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think he's just the type of person that, kind of like me, but probably even more so, that seeks out well-informed people and really, puts them through the ringer and makes sure they're who they're supposed to be. And he's super intelligent, man. So not going to put his name out there or anything, but I definitely consider him a good source. So
OG-Wan Kenobi. I put his name out there. You're talking about OG.
Yeah, that's who it is. Damn it, Freddie.
So what do we want to talk about here, guys?
Well, I'd like to know what other observatories, if that's the only one that we're allowed to see anybody mention about, you know what I mean?
Here, I'll see if I can dig up something. Why doesn't anybody with a spare second see how many, somebody go to DuckDuckGo and a few other search engines and see if we can dig up more than just one observatory being closed down?
It seems like some of the other observatories would have had something to say about it, you know what I mean?
There's some shit on Reddit.
Probably be the only way to find any good links, sadly.
But the observatory is the Sunspot Observatory.
Huh.
That's all I can find, but that's on regular news. It's not conspiracy shit. It's regular news.
What you talking about? The Gizmodo post?
I don't know.
Telescope did not see aliens. Director of mysteriously shut down observatory claims.
Yeah, you're seeing the same shit I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's just on Google. Fucking Google.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's all they're saying is telescope did not see aliens, but they're not telling.
Oh, they're saying just unexplained security issue keeps National Solar Observatory closed. That's the Sunspot Solar one.
Y'all see the DelawareValleyNews.com link?
No.
Here, I'll put that in the chat.
Can you share it on your screen right now?
Yeah, hang on.
Yeah, make you primary. Everyone's looking at you now. Fucking best hair on YouTube, this guy. Look at that shit. Best hair on YouTube. Way better than GM.
Levittown Webb Telescope webcam offline as Feds raids News Mexico Observatory. I don't feel like reading all that out loud. They Feds raided it and refused to tell anyone a reason.
Oh, here we go. You got to go to the Daily Star, buddy. There you go. I think it's even got a video on it, and it's the fucking conspiratard version of what's going on.
Take the screen because I don't see that.
I don't think I can share on this thing, can I?
Yeah, you can screen share for sure.
Oh, fuck if I know how. I'll try. Boom.
Mine's on the left, on just below the chat box. It's a green box with an arrow in it.
Okay. Oh, let me go. Let's see about this. Daily frickin' star. Oh, fuck off. How do I get frickin' sound on here?
Hello to the 30 people watching, 29 people watching. How y'all doing?
Get it up to 33.
What is it, Saturday morning? Nice Saturday morning, man. If you got it, load it up. Let's smoke it.
Yeah.
Hey, Freddie, did you didn't see when did you look at my video later when I drove by the Freemason Center by my house?
No, I didn't see that part. I was actually in there, but I was having trouble chatting yesterday. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck this is. What is this? I don't think anybody's hearing any sound from it, though, are they? On that video I was starting to play there?
No, I don't hear nothing.
Yeah,
Hey, but my friend, this girl I know, her son, he has mental problems. You know, I'm not really sure what he has, bipolar or something like that. But he joined the Freemasons. That's crazy, right? Like they just
what does he have? What's going on?
This girl I know, her son, he's like in his early 20s, and he has like mental issues. I'm not sure if he's bipolar or what's going on with him, but he hears voices, stuff like that, you know.
And he joined a Freemason lodge?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
and they just let him in. Yeah, it's weird, right? They'll just let anyone join up.
I was told by a very old friend of mine that his father was a Freemason and grandfather and so on. And basically, Freemasons are very compartmentalized, and like nearly 100% of the Freemasons inside the United States are oblivious to the the 1% or so that are actually doing the fucked up shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, what he said and what his father told him is it's basically a door A or a door B type situation. They test you out, they give you a best friend to ride along with you and talk with you, get to know you, and basically give you a series of battery aptitude personality tests to see where your head is at. And you be a good guy for them or a bad guy for them. They're going to take you either way.
Yeah. The sign right by my house says, "To be one, ask."
Yeah. Well, I was driving to the ferries one early Saturday or Sunday morning, probably about 6, and I was getting some U.S. stations coming in clear from, I don't know if they were like from Seattle with a big booming whatever, or if it was from Bellingham, so I'm a little closer to the border. But there was a Freemason commercial, and they were saying, yes, we're accepting applications, and just show up at such and such lodge. And it was a freaking infomercial for Freemasons. It was bizarre. I never heard it before in my life. I was like, what? And I was tired too. I was like, is this real? And I had to check myself. I was like, no, I'm driving. This is real. I'm hearing a Freemason commercial. And then I was in traffic just recently, like that. The radio commercial was like almost a year ago now, but I was in traffic the other day, and it was a Freemason driving school where the Freemasons helping youngsters learn how to drive since X and X amount of time. I grabbed my phone and took a picture of the back of the guy's car, but I was like, what the fuck?
Crazy.
Yeah, well, they build cities and they teach your kid to drive. It's pretty bizarre, man.
I don't want to bring the mood down with the actual story and all the details, but I've read from one of their books, upper level book or whatever, and I definitely proved to myself and to those that were around me when I had that book and I showed them, they do worship Lucifer, they worship the light giver, and I would say that's probably why they're having trouble getting, you know, cadets to join up and go through the ropes, because when it comes down to it, most people don't want to worship Satan. They don't want to. They may not be, you know, super religious. They may not be up your ass Christians, you know, and worried about everybody's soul. But at the same time, you know, I would hope that most people in general, the idea of worshiping Satan and bowing down to Satan for, you know, the few extra dollars, the better paying job, you know, the advancement at your job or whatever. I think most people would just be like, fuck it. I'd rather just deal with whatever I have to deal with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't really find that out to the upper levels, but you could just Google it and find it out.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now, I've definitely read a verifiably real Freemason book, and they do worship Satan. It was right there in the book. So,
yeah, and also I forget
What level of book would that be? Like what kind of?
From what I recall, the first, you know, the opening page, it said, you know, it was entered in the Act of Congress and what year it was entered, and it was an old book, and it literally in the front page it said that this is to be, you know, used by a 33rd degree Mason or higher upon death of its recipient, and it was literally a death threat on the first page. If you weren't supposed to read that book, you weren't supposed to read that book.
Hmm.
You know
Isn't it like if you're a 32nd degree or a 33rd degree, they drink out of a skull or something like that? Have you heard that?
I don't know. That sounds more like the Agori tribe of Hindus. There's a tribe of black magic practicing Hindus in India that carry their dead relative skulls, and they only drink from their dead relative skulls, and they, you know, cover themselves in their dead person's ashes and shit. And they also, you know, eat people's bodies.
Who does this?
The Agori tribe. They're a sect of Hindus in India.
Oh yeah, the cannibals, right, right. I remember a CNN reporter, like, okay, this makes the story shitty right there. But a CNN or some such
Well,
report.
and that's what I was saying.
They went to India and they talked to a cannibal tribe there, and the guy was like getting all pissed at him and stuff, and he was kind of sweating it a bit. You know, he didn't like the white man talking so much, and the old shaman dude was like, you know, you shouldn't talk so much. And but yeah, I don't know, it's fucking CNN, it's mainstream media. It's so fucking fake, you know, you can't believe anything. But he did look a little bit shaky.
Some of those guys have not spoken for years. The upper level shaman in those villages, the elderly that have been around the longest, they're the ones that get to speak, and everybody else gets to sit around and listen. And if you're trying to take that person's position or that person's level of authority, you have to listen to them, I guess, to the point where they feel that you've heard enough. And just like my personal would have, you know, my personal issue with anybody that practices Satanism or black magic, these people, they find everything holy, even things that are nasty and things that are evil. And so they sit around and they literally think of more disgusting things to do every day. They walk around, they eat dog poop, you know, they eat each other's feces, wipe each other's feces on their faces, and anything that just would top what you know one of them thought of yesterday. That's what their mission is for the next day. It's insane. And to put myself into that frame of mind and having to be around that type of people and growing up and that being a normal thing is man, it's so crazy, dude. It's wild.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, it comes back to how I look at it, and it's like with researching, and it to me, it's like, all right, I know that the world's fucked, and I know that we're like, you know, cattle, sheep, slaves kind of thing. So I don't know. I the whole thing about getting off YouTube and stopping researching it's kind of appealing to me at this point, just because I already know it's fucked. I know that what I'm seeing is fake from governments and like to everything, right? And it's like at some point, for me personally, I just want to reconnect with the stupid and to get on with just, existing. And I try to have a balance between like YouTube truth or crap and just getting out there and freaking, like going for a cruise or riding the bike or seeing people for coffee or doing whatever, but just trying to get a bit of a balance back, right? It's like lately I've been thinking, man, I miss drinking because it shut my brain down. And it was like, maybe that's why I went for a couple of beers tonight or whatever. But it's just like, I don't know, man. How much shit do we need to know before we understand? Like, it's also freaking nefarious, right? Like yeah, I don't know. I get really frustrated and kind of freaked out by the whole thing, right?
Well, it's crazier than that is the fact that I just don't feel like our human minds can comprehend the meaning of everything anyway. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. It's a wild world. It's crazy that it's so different just in 200 miles this way or 200 miles this way. You've got different dialect, different accents, different cultures, and the world's crazy. It's insane. It's just a crazy world we live in.
Holographic simulated bullshit.
And soon sex dolls.
Yeah, it never ends, man. The depravity of this place is gaining speed. It's all just freaking ridiculous, man. We need I don't know, man. I'm not religious, but we would sure be nice if someone started paying attention to the actual message of these books and stopped all the nonsense. Let's go on to a happier topic. What kind of weeds in the bowl?
What I got it's called tangerine.
Tangy?
Yep.
Yeah, that stuff's pretty good.
I got the Pineapple Express, the big hairy freaking buds of sativa, and I just grabbed some Bubba Death, which is something that's been floating around up here. Bubba Death Kush or something.
I haven't smoked weed for a couple months now.
Yeah, I know. You must just be when do you get this freaking drug test, man? Gotta get back on the pipe.
I don't know. Could be any day, so I just gotta.
So it's like a surprise thing. Like one time they said they were gonna bring in random drug testing. Only what I didn't know is my HR had changed my middle name to Random, man. I got slammed with the first grouping of testings, and it was like, oh fuck, it was just bullshit. You never knew if they were coming or going, right?
You get tested once and never again, unless you're in an accident.
Yeah. Well, what they used to do at one of the companies I worked for in Alberta, we were big earth movers. When they were building a subdivision, we'd go in there and get rid of all the topsoil and kind of shape the land kind of roughly on what the subdivision was going to look like. And if you wiped out any of the equipment, a safety guy would whip over to the site as quick as he could and swab your mouth. And if it came up with pot or anything in it, I think they were looking for pot. But if it came up with pot, you were done. They fired you.
Yeah.
Pot?
What's up? Sorry, go ahead.
I just find it funny that they're focused on pot. Always felt like companies should ignore pot as long as they're not on something worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in my last job, I straight up just decided that at any given time they decided they were going to random drug test me, I was just going to quit on the spot. And I just made it a decision a long time ago that anywhere that matters, I'm not going to work there. And if they make, like I said, I'm not going to embarrass them and embarrass myself as well and waste everybody's time and money and go take a test I know I'm going to fail. You know what I mean?
Hey, what sucks is we started growing some new strains and I can't test them, Have you heard of wedding cake?
Nope, not yet.
Me neither.
Looks pretty bomb.
Yeah.
And got cherry gorilla glue and creamsicle. You heard of that?
No.
Creamsicle.
Dude, it looks pretty bomb.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gotta wait. Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, you know, lately I've been really liking the sativas a lot more, just for the scent before ignition. I think is pretty freaking nice in these sativas. Like I don't know if it's
I'm more
white rhino, and it got renamed to white shark. But when this stuff comes around, I'm just like, yeah, give me some of that. It's just it's got such a good nose to it, eh?
You don't fuck with gorilla glue?
I yeah, well, I'm kind of penned into you know, the guys that I deal with are the guys that I trust, and they got good shit. And so I know, I don't know, half a dozen of them, maybe 8 or whatever, but that's where I get my shit from. So it's I can't just, I don't go to a dispensary and go, give me Gorilla Glue.
What?
I don't buy from dispensaries. Eh?
Yeah, and me neither. That's just, we've been growing that for a couple years.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with Freddie on the sativa thing, man. I find the more indica stuff, the heavier indica side stuff, just makes me not want to do shit. You know what I mean? I kind of like the more energetic high and not be able to get up and function. You know what I mean?
Gorilla Glue is a sativa hybrid.
Yeah, so it's a functioning, it's a working man's weed.
Yeah.
The way that I used to be able to tell if you were growing pot in your house or not was to drive by your house, and I would look over and there'd be like 1.5 feet of lawn. And there'd be like, you know, freaking muscle cars and freaking cool shit, a boat and a driveway, and the lawn needs cutting. And I used to think, yeah, those guys are growing the chemo or something, right? Like whatever they're growing makes them do anything but cut the lawn. And it's, you know, back in the 80s, man, appearance was everything, right? You had to belly crawl in freaking dirt at night, and it was a nightmare, man. Now it's a lot more open, but there's still the bad guys out there that want to knock on your door with a, you know, a fucking rip you or whatever. So
Hey, by the way, GM mentioned something, or it wasn't not GM, it was Wade now mentioned something. For the record, I do not smoke weed, and I do not smoke weed before I do my job at night.
Is this
for the record?
Is that a disclaimer for Wake Now?
Just in case anybody's wondering, it was brought up. I definitely don't smoke before my shift because, man, it's just counterproductive. I have to stay, you know, alert and active when I'm driving people around.
None of us actually smoke weed. We just
just in general, I puff tobacco. So
I prefer to smoke it like Elon Musk, where I don't actually ingest any THC into my system.
Right.
I just create a fervor around the place that, oh, look at that guy doesn't inhale.
Oh, you saw that?
Yeah, I briefly freaking caught it somewhere. I didn't watch the interview because I guess I should, right? Because it's just, but like Joe Rogan, freaking, he kills my brain cells, man. It's all just a scripted bunch of clowns on there all the time.
It's a cringe fest.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot of the time. Sometimes, you know, he's got some good guys on there talking about good stuff, but Joe himself kind of ruins it for me because I know the man is completely aware of a bunch of fuckery and has been he's taken the bag of shekels rather than to be a human being. But that is why he's got like millions of people that
you've seen that clip where he said, "I would lie to my mother if you know."
Yeah. And you know what is he talking about there? He's talking with another shilly dude about UFOs, right? The guy. Yeah. So it's all just whatever, man. But to everybody starts somewhere, right? So, you know, as long as somebody's getting benefit out of listening to a guy like that and doesn't stop kind of questioning reality, you know, because we all started with people like Rogan or AJ or whatever to get to where we are now. And I think we're like light years ahead of a normal human being. Just the ability to question the reality that we live on or in or whatever, right? That's
hey, have you seen that video? Joe Rogan questions nothing.
No, I haven't. Is it like a kicking the shit out of him?
Because remember he had that show, Joe Rogan questions everything,
Yeah, yeah,
but he doesn't. He's just a gatekeeper.
yeah, totally. So someone made a video called that?
Yeah.
Right on. Link it to the chat, man. Get busy.
Yeah, that's kind of a disappointment too, man. He's one of our hometown hero, the people's champ that I was kind of behind, because he was interested in a lot of stuff that I was. I've always liked martial arts, mixed martial arts. I like boxing, and I enjoyed watching it. Growing up, and boxing was one of my favorite sports to watch. And when MMA first came out, oh my God, that was like the only thing me and my brother got along about, dude. We both loved MMA. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I'm still kind of butthurt over finding out how he just kind of sold out. You know what I mean?
Well, he never sold out, man. He was a fucking product of Hollywood to begin with.
I don't think he was, because I think they've got video of him actually saying, "Dude, if you all tell me the truth, I'll lie till my grave," and blah blah blah.
Well,
You
do
know
you
what I
think
mean?
they actually showed him the flying saucer then and took him for a
So
spin
yeah, I
and
feel
he
like
shut up?
I
The
feel
guy,
like he went ahead and sold out openly, and they were like, "Yeah, fuck it, we'll go ahead and give him."
Hollywood,
They probably gave him a nugget of truth. You know what I mean?
in
And
my opinion, a Hollywood truther is playing a part. But, call me the most skeptical guy that you know, but I look at the guys coming out of Hollywood and all the rest of it, and it's just like, again, I don't know all the answers. It's just my opinion, right?
you could be right, dude.
Who
Because
knows? Like Hollywood controls a lot of the programming that we ingested all throughout our like early years and stuff like that. And next to the
of course
school system, like teaching you not to think and not to ask questions for 13 years of your life. Hollywood's right there with programming you as an adult and when you get home after school and all the rest of it, right? So I just question everybody, man. Question me, question everybody.
yeah,
Who the hell
yeah,
knows?
absolutely. And that's really how you really can learn a person's character is how they respond to your questions.
Totally. Hey, I gotta go grab some water here and stuff. Talks amongst yourselves. And anybody in chat that wants to get in here, we'll drop links. We'll do whatever. It's just a good morning world from freaking Vancouver and everywhere else.
Oh shit. Hey, where are you in? You said you're like in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So is the weed like how much is weed out there? Like an ounce?
I've heard it runs about 300.
Yeah, you heard that. Damn, prices are high out there.
Yeah, because I heard somebody talking earlier, I think earlier today, that there's certain spots that you can go get paid, twice that and get a pound. It's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? It's crazy. But yeah, that's what I was hoping with it becoming legalized, and it's legalized here. It's just not recreational yet. What I was hoping that it would both improve the quality of the low end stuff, and it would also reduce the price on the high end stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah, the price went way down out here. Like indoor, like the best indoor is no more than 2,000 a pound. When it used to be like 3,000-4,000.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And then like outdoor now is like, during the harvest time, you get outdoor for like 900, 1,000 a pound up north. So it's super cheap.
Yeah, it's good.
I don't know what I have a crazy echo, huh?
No, not on my end.
Huh. Okay.
Maybe in the chat, is he echoing? Am I echoing?
Nah.
I was asking the chat. What was you gonna say, dude? Dude, I would love to be a grower, man. Like I said, I I got a 15 by 30 above ground pool that, for whatever reason, probably because we don't know what the hell we're doing, but we have to replace the liner every year since we moved here. And this year we decided we weren't going to do it. And then, you know, our state legalized. So I planned on, you know, at some point taking that pool down and making a good sized greenhouse there.
Yeah. I mean, I grow for other people. I don't make a lot of money.
That's what I'm saying. Just the job itself, just being able to make a little bit of money and do that as a living is awesome to me. It's a very good, awesome idea. I'm not a greedy person, man.
Yeah.
That's probably half my problem is I don't care for money to the point that I don't try to get it as much as I probably should. But you know, I try. I do what I can.
Even the fact of just having a few plants going for yourself, man, it saves you $200 to $400 a month probably.
Oh yeah,
And then if you get into the extracts for medical reasons or whatever, it takes a hell of a lot more than a couple ounces to do you for the month. So
that's true.
I don't know what number we're all allowed to grow up here next month, but I think it's something like 4 plants, and I don't know what they're going to do. But you know, the federal government's involved, so they're going to do it ass backwards and wrong. So
in my city now, you could grow 4 plants, but it has to be indoor.
Yeah, which is really weird because there's such a, I don't know. I'm just going to see how it goes. I don't know what it is.
That's not even worth it. The electricity you're going to spend, it's not even worth it.
Well, it's you got to get some elephant plants, man, that grow like freaking along your baseboards for a couple of feet. Freaking, who knows?
Is the greenhouse, was that considered indoor or outdoor? I don't know.
Outdoor, I'd imagine.
But it depends on the greenhouse, if it's like a solid structure or if it's like, you know, like a PVC pipe one, plastic.
Oh yeah, I planned on doing, you know, solid wood, and that's what I was going to research is what type of wood I should use for the floor, and you know, that's going to deal with the humidity and stuff.
Keep away from wood, because wood will create mold issues eventually, right?
There's some woods that are good for it, that they don't mold up and they deal well with the humidity though. That's cheaper, you know.
If you use wood, paint the wood, because you know, mites will live in wood.
Yeah, good point.
I don't know. It's something I'm not. Yeah, I haven't started researching yet, but that's what I plan on doing. Is building a greenhouse.
You get to well, once you research it and stuff, but you're in charge of its everything, right? So
what a lot of people do out here is they dig a big hole, dig like a 5-foot hole, and then you get bamboo sticks or some type of sticks, and then you put plastic over it, you know, make a little greenhouse like that.
Right on.
They got like Cheech and Chong growing in the pool with the tarp on top of it.
Well, there's a way that a lot of growers are doing. They're grabbing the plant and the top of the plant and they're stretching it along the ground, and it causes the plant to bud up along the stem a lot more.
You kind of get you wouldn't get like the main cola out of that, but you would get a lot more because the plant's going to grow towards the light. So and there used to be a plant like that. I remember this from way back in the day, and it was elephant, and the shit used to grow like a trunk, man. It used to grow up a bit and then flop over, and it would just grow like that. My favorite is I got 3 months to move one time, and I threw everything in the ground, and there was a strain called Northern Lights, or it was Northern Lights or Early Pearl, and I threw clones into 5-gallon buckets, and the fucking things grew the biggest colas you ever seen in your life. Like literally 3.5, 4 feet long, big ass buds. It was great. I had like about 8 or 9 of the frickin' things, man. It was awesome. They were like more, they were an anomaly. I've never seen another cola anywhere like that in real life, even on outdoor plants. That's Bud Talk. Saturday morning Bud Talk.
Yeah, I've seen some amazing stuff working on farms up north. I've seen some awesome fucking plants, huge ass plants. That's what I like. Growing outdoors, way funner than indoor.
Yeah, well, more of an experience in nature instead of an experience in a laboratory, right? With the
Yeah,
sun shining and stuff.
I like outdoor way better.
I dropped off some clones of fuck, what was it now? I don't know if it was Girl Guide or something like that, but Buddy threw half a dozen of these things in his yard. Like he made a little plot of dirt and he brought in some really good growing soil and he planted them outside. And these things, man, are like they're just about falling over the neighbor's fence because they got too big. They're like 7.5 feet tall. It's freaking hilarious. The guy's like, dude, you gotta come over and see these. And it's literally like it's a Christmas village now. It's all right.
That's awesome. That reminds me of a strain that used to come around years ago that I haven't seen called Christmas Tree. I don't know if y'all ever heard of that or remember it. It used to come around February, December. What was it?
Nah, I never heard of that.
It came around Christmas or the holidays, called Christmas Tree, and it was just real sparkly. It had a bunch of crystals on it and stuff.
Look at this big, look at this big ass plant.
Well, let's see that. Yeah, make you mean.
Is it fucking in a wine cask or what?
It's those earth pots. You know the earth pots? That's like 100-gallon.
Oh fuck. What's the discolor all about on the top? Did it mold up or is that just the
Oh, that was one of their weaker. That was one of their weaker plants, and that's after the first or second chop down. You know.
Mm. It was so big that it had to be chopped down 2 or 3 times. That's fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, dude.
Fuck. That's huge. Too bad you don't have a human standing next to that.
As it was about as tall as me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's taller ones. Watch, I'll try to find them. Oh, this farm I'm talking about, it got raided last year, so it's all right to show the pictures now. Let's see.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Those are the small ones, though. The bigger ones are up higher.
And is that them digging holes into the ground and then putting those things in the hole? Or like how what is that?
Those are earth pots.
So an earth pot is like a peat pot made out of compressed peat?
It's like canvas.
Canvas. Okay, I've never seen these before.
Yeah.
Because that's what I used to grow in back of the day was peat pots, just because they held they held a lot of moisture in the pot, and you could actually gauge by the color of the peat, when you're watering, when you would best to water, because the peat pots would dry out themselves, right?
Yeah, those are all like after they had their first and second cut.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, people are killing the game, you know, like most of those farms are you can grow 100 plants, but they'll do them where they're getting like 800. Basically, you're getting 8 pounds per plant, so that's like 800
Wow.
pounds a season, you know.
Jesus.
It's not like that in Canada.
Well, it probably is, man. No one I know has got a big outdoor like that. Like that's crazy. I know guys, they fire up warehouses and stuff like that now, but for outside climate, BC's not bad. It's probably pretty good, but we do get a lot of rain and stuff, and seasons can be shit. So I think Cali's got a way more predictable climate in there. So I think they do a lot better down there.
Yeah, that spot is kind of by Tahoe. That's like the place to be, you know.
What Lake Tahoe area?
Yeah, it's better weather than like Humboldt County. Humboldt County's more colder.
Humboldt County's pretty famous for that shit, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean everyone out there.
Yeah. I think I've seen a movie that was about Humboldt County once or something. But yeah, it's kind of like that here in places too, right? It's like You know, why does that town still exist if they haven't had forestry in freaking 20 years because they shut the mill down and it's just all growers, right?
I mean, once you pass Sacramento, that's all that's up there, you know?
Interesting. No, I didn't know that, man. I've never had a guided tour of the California pot thing, right?
Yeah,
I
you
just
could just
know it
go on a
exists.
lot of cities. You could go on Google Maps and you could just see farm, 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 farm everywhere.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Hey, Sadek, are you a Canadian as well? Does he used to hang out in Montreal there in the chat? A lot of Canadians seem to be woke.
Hey, I thought like Canada, everyone and their mom is growing because when I was there, like I got hit up so many times for like, you want to buy some weed? Want to buy some weed? I was like, fuck, dude. Everywhere I went, every fucking bar, everywhere.
What part of Canada were you in?
Just
Vancouver?
Vancouver.
Yeah. Yeah, Vancouver's pretty crazy. 1 out of 3 houses are growing or something. Who knows what it is now? Maybe it's 1 and 2.
Uh,
But yeah, I'd imagine everybody's going to give a kick at the can, though, right? Like as soon as they pass the recreational and you can grow this or that, man, they're gonna have plants in the front windows all over town. You know, it's like trying to get the proper light. Mom's growing weed. I wish my mom would grow weed. She has like the greenest thumb out of anyone I've ever met. She could just do a phenomenal job.
I grew up with hippie parents, man. I've
yeah.
always been around it.
Yeah, my mom used to grow weed when I was real little.
My mom used to be able to tell that I was rolling a joint in the locked bathroom with the fucking fan going. She'd be like, Freddie, you're smoking weed in there? It was like, no, I'm just rolling. No, I'm not doing nothing. She used to hate this shit, man. And then she's getting old, right? So I sent her in. She finally got convinced by me and my sister to go check into some medical marijuana for some pain relief. And her freaking goofy doctor gave her a 5-page government leaflet on how bad marijuana is for you. Like I was just like, oh my god. I read it and I was just like, man, what is this? This is the stupidest doctor I've ever heard about, right? It was all government propaganda about, reefer madness, more or less, man. And so my 90-year-old German mother was just like, I am not smoking the weed. I am not doing anything. Nothing to do with this.
That's hilarious. I had like exact opposite of your experience. My parents and uncles and everybody smoked so much weed, and I just thought it stank, dude. And I fucking hated it growing up. So like in high school, I was the anti-drug kid, dude. I was really annoying, probably to most people, and
Yeah.
like all of my friends, I would harp on them, dude. Y'all don't smoke weed, and me and my best friend had an anti-drug pact, and I remember my parents were, "You're smoking, aren't you?" And I would just stand there and laugh, and I'm like, "Hell no! Like screw y'all! I'm not. I don't smoke weed." Blah blah blah. And
Yeah.
they would harp on me and like, "Fine, fucking drug test me." You know what I mean? And they would never fucking drug test me. It pissed me off. But I didn't actually.
I didn't smoke.
Go ahead.
I didn't smoke till I was 18.
I didn't smoke until after that because I joined the Marine Corps, and even the Marine Corps, had harped on me before they blood tested me to see if I was lying on whether or not I'd ever smoked, and I was like, dude, I've never smoked weed. They thought I was lying to them, but because they were trying to get me to sign waivers and shit, and anyway. I didn't smoke. I didn't try marijuana or any illicit drugs other than alcohol until after I was discharged from the Marine Corps.
Yeah, I started drinking when I was 14, though.
Oh, I was probably 14 or 15 when I had my first beer.
Lanny in the chat said he got a 5-page leaflet in the 90s about the evils of marijuana. And if you find it, Lanny, I'll grab the one they gave my mom and we'll see if it's the same freaking information. Like
the first shit I ever drank was 151.
That's a good start. I was whiskey, and that was a bad mistake at 14 to drink a bottle of whiskey with my buddies, man. Fuck. I would bet very
Mine
bad
was
experience. I had a very bad fall as a child on whiskey.
my first drinking experience was really strange and very inappropriate. Because not just because I was 14, but it was my best friend's parents let all of us get drunk. Me, my brother, my sister, my best friend, and both of his little sisters who were, the smallest one was, God, dude, she was, maybe 10 years old or younger, maybe a little younger than 10 years old. You know what I mean? And it was on beer, but looking back, it was a highly just fucked up situation. But luckily, it was just 3 point fucking cheap beer, and we all just got sick and hung over off of it. It was look, it was fucked up looking back, but it should have been with just my friends and shit in somebody's garage stealing my dad's beer or their dad's beer or something like that, but. That's not what it was.
Well, GM, you still here? Or did you go off and use the bathroom? Because if he did, we'll shut the stream down quickly, and he'll be like, "Fuck, there's fucking with me." Well, it's time to mute my mic.
If you're gonna hit your pipe, that's fine. Wonder why Lanny won't join in, or one of these couple of these other people. Man, I keep seeing all these familiar people, but they won't join in or at least chat. You don't have to show your face or nothing. I don't care. I mean,
I'd prefer if Lanny didn't show his face ever again on YouTube. What are you doing, Lanny? Why don't you jump on, man? Let's hear from the other side of the world, or Canada, or somewhere in the middle, wherever the hell you are. Hold on, it's time for me to mute my mic.
All right.
That's a new code word for I gotta go take a puff. I gotta go mute my mic.
All right. Well, I guess I'll take over. GM, are you around, dude? He must have went for a snack. Went for a Scooby snack. I stepped out while they were talking and did the same a few minutes ago.
I gotta get Lanny a link for Google Hangouts. So let's see if I can. Fuck, how do I do that?
Here, I can give it to him. Hang on one second.
Yeah, can you find him in Google Hangouts? So.
Hey.
I was just gonna post it in the chat, but
I don't think that's working for him.
Hey, Freddie, have you heard of this strain called Sunday Driver?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope, I have not. Let's see. Hey, Lanny, what's your freaking Google Hangout? Whatever you use to get on there. Is there any way that you can? Yeah, let me see here. I think Lanny's. Okay, never mind. I'm figuring this out. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, send a link there.
oh, I was sitting out here responding to you, and I was fucking muted. Sorry, I didn't leave you hanging there. I was actually going to look over at the chat and see. I see Larpin for the Lord was there, and he's leaving, or may have left, or she's leaving. Not sure. No assumptions here, guys, girls. Let's see here. You said Lanny's joining in.
Yeah, just seeing how I can link him to the last chat that we were on. Were you in that one? What's that? Now, how do I get the link from the current thing?
Mad Pieman said they remember raiding a mate's parents' bar after dodging school. I broke my arm stuffing around pissed. You actually broke your arm because you fell because you were drunk. That's hilarious. Sorry to hear that, but that's funny. Probably fun, at least funny that you could look back on it and laugh, right?
There's going to be two of me for a second while I work something out. I got to mute this.
My older sister got me drunk the first time. We were in Hollywood and shit.
Oh, yeah?
It's pretty fun.
Hey, we got somebody new. Another shill hammer. We got 2 shill hammers. He has gone and cloned himself. Now there's really a shill hammer. Or am I just seeing shit? I see 2 shill hammers on the screen.
Who's that?
HC? That's Freddy. I see 2 Freddys on there. There's 2 hammers.
Yeah, I'm trying to throw a link backwards from this thing into another, into a previous conversation I had with Lanny, but it would just be so much easier if Lanny just put his goddamn freaking.
Hey, Lanny, you can post your email in that live chat, and he can copy it and then immediately delete it. So, you know, there's that.
Well,
everybody else in the live chat, turn your head for a few seconds, please.
Hey, Rufus, man.
We're operating on the honor system here, please.
Morning, Rufus. I'd love to have you jump on.
There it is, Freddie. Grab that shit.
I gotta get it. Hold on.
Take it down.
Dude, nobody say nothing while I try to get this.
Look away.
All right.
He said, pull it.
Pull it.
All right, Larry Silverstein. Back on the 9/11 talk again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another point. Oh, Larry Silverstein's taking out that multi-billion-dollar insurance policy on the buildings.
Yeah.
There's so many people that got their pockets lined from that deal. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just
While I do this.
It's just crazy. Like, most people have no idea about that shit. Like, I just told my mom a couple weeks ago about Building 7, but she still didn't give a fuck.
There we go. I got you, I think. I'm going to send you an invite. Like I knew what I was doing.
I think that even at this point, it's like people are apt to believe that the government was involved, or at least turn their heads and allowed it to happen. But, you know, what the fuck can we do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's working out.
Lanny.
Hey there.
Yeah, there's not much you can do. It's kind of frustrating, huh?
Oh. What's happening, fellas?
What's up?
I'm just creating echoes over here. Sorry.
Way to go.
I'm good at creating echoes.
Very unprofessional. This is the Saturday morning special Shillhammer show.
Yeah, I shouldn't be. I should really have my shit together. What are you doing? You driving around, doing stuff?
No, I'm just hiding in my truck because if my wife comes out and I'm talking in the backyard, she'll be like, "Who are you talking to? What are you doing?" they're all inside sleeping. My wife and 3 kids are inside sleeping, so I'm about to get the wake up call that the baby's up probably soon.
Oh yeah. You'll have to go in a hurry, man. You don't want to leave a wife to fend for herself in there with a baby.
Well, they all sleep till like fucking 9, so I'm good for now.
Oh really?
Usually.
I slept till 2:30 this morning or this afternoon. It was great.
Oh fuck, I can't do that. I'm up at like 6 every morning.
Well, I did a live stream with freaking Treach there last night. That was and GM was there, and I looked at the clock and it was like after 6:30. I was like, man, I'm in the wrong time zone for this shit. I got to go to bed.
Did you guys catch Josh's white nationalist stream last night? I heard he was talking about Rufus and that.
Josh who?
The Truth. What's his name? The Do It Live. He's the original guy that white blonde hair. He's a nice guy. Hangs out with Gandalf and that too.
Is that Truth Denied or Truth Undenied or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
he was going off last night.
Nice guy. Was he going off? What happened?
I don't know. He was talking about. I think he was talking about Rufus, which I thought I saw Rufus in the chat here.
Yeah,
he's the guy that was on the show the other night, right? Yeah, he's a good dude. From what I remember, he was the guy from the other night. But yeah, I think he was going off because there was a whole. Josh is very into the white pride thing, and there was someone else on there trying to be like, "Hey, man, it might not be a good idea to just think it's, because He was going on a racist angle. It's getting kind of weird with him, but he's a good dude.
I haven't seen him for a long time. That's where I met Gandalf, though, was over there. I bumped into that.
Yeah, me too.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not really watching the chat, but I'm going to throw a link in there.
But Gandalf was actually putting good points to him that because he thinks the white people are disappearing and whatnot. And Gandalf's like, there's more white people now than ever. It's just, you know, we're propagated to believe that we're losing. And then all these guys that say that are the guys with no kids, not married.
Well, you do have to. You got to make at least 2 babies to freaking keep the numbers up.
And why aren't people doing that?
White people on the freaking planet, right?
Yeah, but Gandalf's point was there's more now than ever, but there's also more of everyone, right? So.
Well, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't think it's a race, and if it is, we lost. I don't know. I was talking to Demonetized Patriot, and I threw a comment at Kettle. I still want to freaking do a stream about GDL and just get different points of view on it, especially after the revelations and stuff. I just don't. Yeah. I didn't see anything too organic about it, but I know it's, and it's like taking information, and it's I don't know, man. I gotta shut up. I don't know enough about the freaking thing, right? I know enough about Israel to know it's not the best place in the world to be fucking anybody but an Israeli, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's that same shit going on with America that America's never like to admit that they're the same way with their nationalist pride and whatnot.
I think you gotta have some pride, right? And
yeah,
and I think like a real human being is obviously going to be proud of their country and stuff, but I don't know too many world leaders that are really inspiring people to you know, rah rah rah. Like it's all kind of an embarrassment.
I think it's more like older people in their 50s or 60s, because people my age and younger don't give a fuck about this country.
Yeah, well, there's a good point too, right? Like, you know, I don't know, man. I don't think
we've all been fucked over. The fucking baby boomers got everything, and we got nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's weird. Like, when's the next time that the planet comes around and it's a better place to be? It's freaking bizarre. Bizarre. So what's on the agenda today? When the kids wake up, you just start doing the super dad stuff, or what?
Yeah, we might actually hit a country fair up north of us.
Cool.
Go check out that with the kids.
Right on. That'll be fun. Lots of cows and stuff running around.
Oh, probably. Yeah, I haven't been to this one yet, so it's going to be a new experience. My buddy just moved about an hour north of me, so we're kind of meeting in the middle with his kids.
Cool.
Yeah, buddy. We were going to hit Niagara Falls today, but it's too fucking far.
Oh, is it?
Well, it's like 3-hour drive, and I didn't want to drive with the baby 3 hours or 2.5 hours.
Yeah, well, there you go, right?
Wadata, bitches.
Who be that? Is that him? Is that guy?
No, it's the other guy.
How's it going, Roof?
The guy with the thing.
Here's that thing you ordered from the internet.
You know the thing? The guy with the thing.
How's it going, man?
Hey, Rufus, was I right about that? Was that Josh talking about you last night?
Probably. I haven't heard the stream. I literally just woke up a little while ago. I'm only on my second cup.
Okay.
I saw that he did a stream, and I saw the title, and I immediately knew probably what he was talking about. To give you a quick backstory, and while I'm doing it, I'm going to try to adjust my mic. It's too much input volume.
Shit, I'm going to run and get a pack of smokes. I will be back in 2 seconds, so talk really slowly. I want to hear the backstory.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, I'll just adjust my mic, and then I'll tell you. Just a second here. Properties, levels. All right, if anybody's wearing earbuds, you might want to take them out, because I sort of have to smack this microphone because it's a self-adjusting motherfucker. And if I crank the slider bar, it has a tendency to crank itself back up like it's doing right now. So give me a second. I'm sorry, this fucking microphone, I'm going to have to go get a new one. I don't know how to make it stop adjusting itself. Let me try this. So anyway, let me see if that works. I'm gonna have to put this thing right in front of my face.
It sounds okay.
All right. Sometimes the input volume cranks up too much, and then it gets like echoey and feedback a little bit. All right. So the backstory is that Josh did like one of those monologues where he's driving and he's just talking.
Mhm.
And he's talking about basically white pride, that he identified as a white nationalist. And for the most part, I don't care about that. But I was just scanning through the chat or his comment section, and a mutual friend, Adelaide, left him a comment saying that you should do a white power stream or something like that. And between the video, between his discussion in the video and between comment on Adelaide, it just sparked a thought in me. And I thought to myself, I don't personally, and this is just my personal opinion, I'm not dogging on anybody. And I did mention Josh that I did a video, it was a follow-up, just sort of expressing my opinion. But for me personally, I don't take pride in being white. It's not that I'm apologetic. I'm not sorry. I make no apologies. No cuck. I have no white guilt. But I just, for the most part, I don't take pride in something that I didn't accomplish. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm just born, and this is what I am, and this is what you are, and okay, that's fine. I also talked about black pride and gay pride and things that you don't choose to do as a goal. And I didn't really understand why people identify so much with like the pride of the color of their skin, or even the heritage of their ancestors, right? I know my ancestors went through some heavy shit, and depending on how far back you go, depends on how hard people struggle. To me, that's irrelevant. Those are people that are so far removed from me. I have no close association, and I have no reason to feel pride in the accomplishments of people that I never met. And I have no personal reason to be proud of this color of my skin. It's not something I worked for. And when I did that video, Josh got a little triggered. I like Josh. And again, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus here.
Yeah.
But he did get a little triggered. He showed up in my comment section and he was like, dude, why didn't you just approach me? You want to start some kind of drama war? And so we went round and round in the comment section. I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. And it wasn't about addressing you. It was just expressing my own opinion. And it was inspired by your video. And this is not a response video. And I'm not attacking you and shit like that. And eventually, like the following week when I did my show, Josh showed up in the chat and he was like, sorry I reacted so harshly. And so then after that, I was like, totally cool. And I actually invited him to come on as a guest, not yesterday, but the week before.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't respond. And I don't know if because he didn't get a notification, because YouTube notifications sometimes sucks, or if he was just ignoring it. So I don't know. And then this morning when I saw his live stream and the title, I was like, oh, I bet he's talking about, that subject. And I bet you he's probably going to bring up me and that whole thing. So I don't even know what he said. So if anybody
he wasn't being bad, like he was being friendly to you. He was just disagreeing with some points. And then a dude with a red avatar, I didn't recognize him because I don't know everyone, but he was actually being real nice and kind of schooling him the other way, and kind of bringing him kind of back to level, which was good to hear.
Okay, well, there you go. There's another channel I just found that I haven't thought about Josh's channel for literally over half a year now, but I know I have so many channels that just unsub themselves for me.
And so I saw he streamed it's like 8:15 for me right now. And I know that it said that he streamed like 5 hours ago. That would have been 3 a.m. for me. Gandalf, who is my new co-host on my show, Gandalf is good friends with Josh, and he was in that stream. And my first thought was, Jesus, Gandalf didn't get any fucking sleep last night.
Yeah, no, he's the same time slot as me. He's like 8:22 or whatever time it is.
Yeah, he
lives not far from me, the Gandalf dude. Haven't met him yet, though.
Oh, you're Canadian too, Lanny?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this
Lanny
is
from
the
Canada.
Canadian stream here. We're allowing you Americans on.
That's right. We're investigating the Americans here on YouTube. That's our job.
Blame Canada if you will. But I'm just checking out. Josh is getting some ripper long hair now, eh? A lot longer. Just saying. I don't know why that strikes me. Yeah, I haven't checked it out. So I haven't checked out his channel in a while, man. I might drop by the next time if and when I get a notification. Say hi.
Yeah, it was a decent show last night. He was it was actually not bad. I listened to only maybe half of it, but it was coming off all right.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm native, right? Like, I don't identify as a native outwardly at all. I just look like some freaking white dude. But
Yeah, you look very cracker, huh?
I look totally like cracker. Yeah. So
What side you're native?
What's that?
What side you're native? Like your mom or your dad, or
My
just
mom.
part or half?
My mom is 100%, and my
Oh,
dad.
really? Yeah.
I never searched out my birth parents, though, right? I'm adopted.
Oh,
Raised
okay, yeah.
So, but dad was English and Scottish. Mom was pure blood something from over in Alberta, right? Whatever, somewhere up there. And anyways, yeah. So it's I identify with everybody, and I don't really feel a part of anything, right? So
Yeah.
it's interesting. But in reality, when I really think about my roots, I want you all off my land as quickly as possible. So what did you how did you like streaming with Johnny Supertramp, Roof?
That was the second time that he's been on my show. And one of the main reasons that I wanted him on to talk about DMT is because the first time he was on my show, near the end of our conversation, he mentioned his DMT experience. We didn't have time to get into it, and I was super interested in talking to him about it. And it's just been months and months and months since him and I have connected again.
Yeah.
So and now that I think about it, Freddie, you have an open invitation in a couple of weeks because my show we're about 5 weeks away from hitting 100 shows. And I'm looking to get like a big round table, just get a whole bunch of people to come in and just sort of chill out and have a whatever conversation, no particular topic. It can go anywhere. I'll probably turn on my camera and maybe play some guitar, just sort of make a little party out of it.
Cool.
I got a question about the Johnny Supertramp stuff. What do you guys think about the number stuff? Because the number stuff always kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because you can make numbers kind of do anything, and that was a big Russian vids thing.
Well, in what respect do you mean numbers? Because Johnny
everyone likes to draw like
numerology. He doesn't really do gematria.
But it seems like they'll use, well, okay, I didn't know if because I know a lot of guys, they'll use numerology for one thing to equal 33. They use gematria for another thing to equal 33. They use another Pythag to, you know what I mean? They'll use whatever suits whatever narrative they want to push to tie numbers to shit, you know what I mean?
I feel the same, like when it comes to gematria, I definitely feel you on that end, because there's like, I don't know, 20 or so fucking ciphers. And yes, it's very cherry picking. It's like, oh, look, it's a 33 in Jewish. And look, oh, this other thing is a 33 in Chaldean. And oh, look, the other one is a 33 in, you know, ordinal reduced. And the other one is this. And another one is 33 in this other cipher. And look, it all matches. And I'm like, no, most of those ciphers are like brand new inventions or discoveries or creations in the last couple of years, as a matter of fact. And just because you can, you know, think of a new cipher doesn't mean that that's the one that the so-called psychopaths in control are using. There is a gematria value that the ancient Hebrews would use for particular letters of their alphabet.
Yeah.
And that much is true. But when it comes to like, oh, this guy died today, and look, his birthday is a gematria this, and his first name is a gematria that, and his whole name is, and the city he died in is a gematria, and look, it all matches. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. So what you're saying is that whoever's running the planet decided when, you know, say Bob Dylan was born in, you know, fucking 1950, whatever. They decided that, okay, they got with his parents, or maybe his parents were somehow connected, and they named him Bob Dylan so that the gematria will work out like this, and maybe they sacrificed him on whatever day. And are you kidding me? This is the kind of plan that these guys are working on? I just can't get my head around that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it always makes me want to ask Johnny, hey, man, can you like run my number or my name through the number stuff and see how, you know?
Well, see, that's the thing with Johnny. He doesn't do the gematria.
I guess I should ask Bart or someone like that. But or I don't know, can you just go on Google and grab a gematrinator or something, I guess. But I should do that. I should throw my names through just to make sure I'm not freaking, you know, a Mason or something.
When it comes to gematria, I think one of the biggest, I'm the biggest supporter of Global Agenda, who's a good friend of me and the show. when he does gematria, he does it a little bit different than everybody else. He'll run, like when an event happens, he'll run all the people's names and all the place names and all that kind of stuff through the gematria. And he'll choose one cipher, and he doesn't bounce around with all the different ciphers, and he'll show you 5 or 6 connections all within the same cipher. And to me, the way he does gematria, it probably holds the most water, or has the most impact to me.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I like Global's content too. It's it's really hard. That's about the hardest thing I find, is keeping up with everyone that piques your interest and stuff. And then I don't know, it's just a weird little trip for me. I don't know how long the YouTube's gonna last for me, but it is really nice knowing you guys. Like it's been an interesting thing. It would be nice if the platform was a little bit more wholesome, but there is a lot of good content creators out there and a lot of good freaking conversations going on. And sometimes you guys fuck up and end up on my show.
I find a lot of the gematria talk and a lot of the numbers talk very intriguing. I think that in general, the numbers don't lie when it comes down to the basic arithmetic. You know what I mean? And whenever you break all those theories down and all those all that stuff down, it just boils down to the basic truth of on or off, 0 or 1, and it's what computers use and all that shit. But what you was one of you two was mentioning just a minute ago, it's just, it depends on it's the information's there. It may be the truth, but it depends on what that person is using that information for, which could be for bad things or good things.
I personally don't use gematria, but I do pay attention to the numerology. That's because of the research avenues that I take. Astrotheology is one of my big centers of research, and that's the motions of the stars, the planets, the sun, the moon, going all the way back to antiquity. And
I agree with you there too.
And those numbers, the numerological numbers, are associated directly with the motions of the planets and the stars, and the cosmological clock, the time of the year, what day or the year that the lunar full moon or the super moon or the blue moon. Those things are big among the cabal or the controllers, and so that is where a lot of when it comes to the numbers, that's the shit that I pay attention to.
Have you studied any of the Chinese calendar, or anything about their numerology and their horoscope?
Minimally.
I find both of them very interesting. So I was raised, and I get loosely raised Southern Baptist. If we went to a church, it was going to be, one of the forms of Christian, but it was usually a Southern Baptist church or Pentecostal type setting. And so we were told early on that horoscopes are evil and don't trust any of that. So I ignored that stuff for a long time until I started reading about it. And I think it was after I got married, and I was trying to figure out why me and my wife was having so many arguments and having character issues with each other. You know what I mean? And I started looking into that, just, trying to find some answers. And I found that, I fit, Gemini, and she fit the one that, her particular sign, and the recommendations, on whether or not these two signs would work and why not, they seem to make a lot of sense to me. And so I also did look at the Chinese calendar, which is actually, I think, more perfect symmetrically, I would say. There's no leap year, and there's no longer months and shorter months and stuff like that, which I find.
So does the Chinese zodiac or the Chinese calendar, does it run on the base 360 like the Egyptians do?
I believe so, as far as everything being in a giant circle, and
Well, you mentioned that there was no leap year. So in the Egyptian zodiac, which is the same as the calendar, okay? In the Egyptian zodiac, there are 12 months of 30 days, and then there's a 13th month. That's the month of Ophiuchus, which is a constellation. That's the wrestler, the man who wrestles the giant serpent. It's a 5-day period in Egypt. And it was a period where you're not supposed to take on any new endeavors. It was almost like bad luck if you were to take on any business adventures or any projects. So it was pretty much like a 5-day festival. And that filled in between 360 and the 365-day solar year that we live under now.
Right. Okay. I think, okay, that's where the difference is that they variated from the 360 in the day in the calendar. I could never figure out what it was. I couldn't put my finger on the inconsistency and what made the change. You know what I mean? As far as what made our calendar imperfect symmetrically.
Well, between the change to the Julian calendar and then the subsequent change to the Gregorian calendar is how we arrive at our current method of calculating a year, where we wind up with a leap year and all that shit.
Well, I assumed that it was just that the Chinese history put us much farther back than what established, the establishment wants us to feel that humanity's been here and, all that shit. So that's why they developed that imperial calendar or whatever.
That's something I wondered with the Chinese thing, is how they've all adopted that we're in the year 2018, but their calendar would be like the year 5000 or whatever it would be. That's
the Jewish calendar. It's 5777.
Is it?
The Chinese put us back. I think some of their history puts us back millions of years, man.
So when was it though that we took, like, well, I should say we, but like the Christian type calendar took over as the world's calendar, where everyone's just like, all right, we're following what Western calendars say.
That was under King Gregory. That's why we live under what's known as the Gregorian calendar right now.
And that just took over everyone.
Good information there, man.
So have you looked into Vedic cosmology at all?
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, I've got a return guest, Michael Cremo, if you know who that is, a pretty big name in the alternative world. He'll be a second returning guest, and he's coming up for me in 2 weeks. So I've been recently doing some research. He is heavily into Vedic research of all the Bhagavad Gita and the all those ancient texts from ancient India. And one of the things that I was that I had written down as one of my notes here is that in Vedic cosmology, there's a basic unit of cycle of time called the Kalpa, and it's also known as the day of Brahma. Get this, it's 4,320,000,000 years old or long. This is one cycle of Brahma, followed by a night of Brahma, which is an equal time scale. And not only is that a huge freaking number, and I talked about this a little bit last night on my show, not only is that a huge number, but it's oddly specific, being 4,320,000,000, which to me jumped out immediately because it's a base 432, which is, this number is encoded into like almost every ancient structure, all the ancient megaliths. This number is built into the pyramids and all the the Stonehenge and everything else. And then further along, there's another time scale that dwarfs that one. This is Vishnu, the god Vishnu. When he sleeps, he breathes in and out the entire universe or even multiverses. And this time scale is on the order of 311,040,000,000,000 year cycle.
Wow.
So when you talk about old shit, it's like, how do these people even come up with numbers that big?
I was just gonna say, how do they even come to that determination that it could even possibly be that much of a time scale?
Yeah, that's going to be the question I'm going to put to Michael Cremo in 2 weeks.
How old is the Earth supposed to be?
According to who?
6,000 years old.
Yeah.
No, sure.
Yeah,
Okay, silly question. One that has no answer. Who
Well,
are you
it's
going to believe,
interesting.
science or?
To point out what y'all were talking about, I just heard and learned recently about a place called Rockwall, Texas, where they've dug up a rock wall, an ancient wall in Texas, and various spots, and they don't know where this wall ends or begins. A city has been named after it. They've known about this wall since the early 1900s, if not before the 1900s, and they don't know how old this wall is, as far as I know. You know what I mean?
I've
All
heard
the stuff
about that.
underwater, everything.
I heard about that. It's on a farmer's field. It was discovered by a rancher, and there was some controversy about not being allowed to dig it up or excavate it fully.
Oh yeah.
And then they like reburied the portion that they found, and they was like, okay, just forget it, nothing to see here.
Well, since then it's been dug up in at least 5 places, from what I read.
Oh, cool.
And what I chalked it down to is it doesn't coincide with what literature books are out there, what they want to tell us. So it's some of that forbidden archaeology is a subject I like to look into. If you look into forbidden archaeology, you'll find some
read the book.
Interesting stuff.
I read the book. That's Michael Cremo's book.
Right on. Yeah. So yeah, we're in tune. I'm with you completely.
Yeah. In 2 weeks, hang out in my chat, because I'll have Michael Cremo, and if you want to ask him anything directly, put your question in caps, and I'll put it to him. He's the guy who talks about I think it's Tabletop Mountain in, I think, New Mexico or Arizona. It was a gold mine, and I forget how deep they went, maybe half a mile or something like that. Really, really damn deep. And they discovered a wall. Then it was made out of perfectly symmetrically square blocks that had a very high polish on one side. And this is under, layers and layers and layers of earth strata. So I think if I remember correctly, the estimate was 300 million years old. And they also found human artifacts, and they found skeletal remains of what is commonly referred to as Homo sapiens sapien, which is basically modern human.
It sounds.
How old again? Sorry.
What?
How old was this skeleton that was dug up?
300 million years old.
Whoa.
Dude, I'll have to look back on my channel and find the particular video, but it was a Robert Seffer, I think Atlantean Gardens video. He was they pulled these stone. They were stone tools that were machine edged to a blade. They pulled them out of this iron ore that, you look at the reality of the iron ore that's coming up out of the ground, that it had to have taken a couple of million years for these tools to go underground and then come back up. It's just insane if you think about the reality of this stuff. And it doesn't coincide with what they want. It doesn't coincide with their 10,000 to 12,000 year range that we've supposedly been, here and knowing how to breathe.
Most modern anthropologists will give you estimates between 125 and 250,000 years for modern humans to have appeared on Earth. So.
Yeah, well,
that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of the stuff that they're uncovering and trying to hide is it proves that those estimates are we're looking at probably civilizations in the millions of year range back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also shows that there's a big problem with their dating methods.
Ooh, well, wouldn't that be something? How would they go about dating? Like, is it just your carbon dating a skull then? Well,
there's radiometric dating where this is technique that they use to date various rock strata, and then there's the rock strata itself, and this is basically via estimates from geologists who will say that each particular layer takes a certain amount of time for this much layer to build up, and then this particular layer here was laid down by ash by a particular volcano. We know that this volcano went off on XYZ and dating and time. And so we know that this layer is roughly 1 million years old, and then it takes another 10,000 for this layer. And so they can date through rock strata. That's one. And then obviously there's the carbon dating, which is highly flawed.
Yeah.
and the carbon dating only gives you, even on the best circumstances when there's no contamination, it gives you sort of a wide range. So what they do is if possible, they find carbon material like bones, skeletons that are not fossilized, or plant material that's not fossilized, or even carbon from like a ash fire, shit like that. So they use multiple dating methods, and then they sort of come up with an estimate based on all the different dating methods. So
are you aware of the temples that they found in the Grand Canyon and that they've hidden people, keep people from going to? You have to get permits to hike in certain areas of the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, they're Egyptian.
Oh my God, they're gigantic. You're talking like 40-foot wide doors by 60-foot tall ceilings, and like all this rock is like carved into the rock, dude. It's insane.
I've heard about it. I've not seen any pictures.
Oh, dude.
I didn't know that the temple, when doors were that kind of size. I've only heard that there was some shit found in the Grand Canyon that was, without a doubt, that it was Egyptian.
Yeah, and that also coincides with that rock wall that Texas that I was talking about. They found inscriptions in some of this wall that resemble ancient Sumerian texts, and those that are found in Egypt and other places like that as well. So all these different places around the world have the same text inscribed, in the rock, dude. It's crazy, man. Go ahead. Sorry, I'll quit running my mouth.
Well,
you're on a subject that I'm hugely interested in, if you could tell.
From what I understand, there was in fact a worldwide civilization, and though like we live today, we have different cultures all around the world, and even in remote or local areas, like if you were to just take Europe, for instance, there's a dozen cultures at least just in that small area of Europe. And so even in ancient times, although there was a single worldwide civilization, they, being separated by such large distances, there were still different cultures. And that's why we've got, the Mayans and the Vedics and the Olmecs and the Babylonians, right? So we've got all these different cultures all around the world, and yet all of their symbols are almost identical. The only difference is an artistic cultural difference, but their symbols are all pointing to exactly the same thing. They're telling the exact same story.
You're absolutely right with the artistic cultural differences, because they use what they could find locally, you know what I mean, to make their colors and inscribe with whatever tools they could find around the area. So that makes a lot of sense.
Hey, getting back to the Grand Canyon pyramids, I've never seen pictures of this stuff, but are there actual places in the Grand Canyon that are off limits?
Oh, yeah.
So there is. So there's actual like red zones or whatever that we're not supposed to get into and have a look.
Yes.
Yeah. And the excuse is, if you were to just go there and start hiking, some park ranger might stop you and say, the excuse is that it's dangerous, and then, if something happens, that search and rescue is going to have a hard time finding you. And so that's pretty much the excuse they'll tell you not to go in these areas. They won't tell you, well, you can't go over there because there's Egyptian shit we don't want you to see.
Did they find, are you saying in the gorge of where they tunneled out the excavation area, or are you talking like all around the park area up top?
They're just I would just start research in the Grand Canyon, because man, the videos that I've seen and the pictures that I've seen is astounding. And it's astounding to me because I've went through that area over my life since I was a kid several times, and we stopped at the Grand Canyon and did various things at least 3 times in my childhood, and had no idea. And it seems like this is something that would be a huge attraction for the area. It'd be something that people all over the world would love to come and check out. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
just begs the question on why they would hide this from us.
Yeah, I was thinking Hoover Dam. Wrong place.
Yeah, we're Canadian, man. We got an excuse.
Oh, that's funny as well. The Hoover Dam, the reason that it was built. Basically, any reason any dam is built is to keep water from going to the poorer villages.
Yep. And direct it in the area they want it.
Right.
That's right.
Hey, GM rejoined us here. You got some questions about this science stuff, GM?
I don't buy any of that shit. I'm sorry. I've looked deeply into Kincaid's cave and all the giant stories, and I don't buy any of that shit, man. It's like ancient aliens.
But what do you think of the mega structure? That's the one thing that gets me, is some of those mega rock structures that are impossible for us little dudes to move around. That stuff kind of gets me when I see some of these.
I think.
Yeah, I guess you can do pulleys and whatnot.
Stonehenge that they made.
No, I know that part. No, not that. I'm talking like the big like cities with giant stones. I forget where, like Easter Island, those type of places, are just these giant megalith structures, even underwater, that they found. That shit kind of fucks me.
Yeah, the underwater shit is weird.
Well, the stuff up in the Andes and stuff like that with the 60-ton blocks that were quarried from freaking miles and miles away.
That shit. Like, how do they do that?
Well,
like, I get pulleys, I get fucking whatnot, but to actually place it in perfect, even like the masonry that they did back then, to put them in perfect sync with these,
well, are you
1,000-ton stones.
Are you familiar with geopolymers?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna hit him with. And also
the stuff that they kind of built, like kind of clay stuff.
Well, it's a process where you can use basically any rock material, even up to granite and other types of very hard rock.
Yeah.
You powderize. It's basically concrete. You make a granite concrete or a limestone concrete, and or even some of the harder stones like diorite in some cases. But you have to powderize the stone, and then you mix it with a binding agent, and then through chemical process, it hardens right back to the same stone that it was originally. And so, they have these polygonal shaped walls that are so oddly shaped and fit together, closer than a human hair can fit inside. And there are, no gaps anywhere in these walls. And you think, how the fuck did they move the rock? How the hell did they carve it and fit them so tightly? Well, geopolymer explains that perfectly.
So you think it's like forming? It's not placing. It's more of a form structure. Like
it's like pouring concrete, and they could shape
like pattern concrete.
And then it just fits.
There's some guy on YouTube that plays around with the what's the term again? Polycrete?
It's geopolymer. So geo meaning earth, and polymer is like concrete.
Interesting video of the guy actually making blocks of like the pyramid, and with the amount of I guess moisture that he's adding, he can make it either into a really smooth surface or really rough, like it looks like thousands of years old of weathering, which was kind of cool too, which kind of brings up the point, well, how old are these structures? Like the pyramids should have been mentioned in the Bible, and I don't believe they are. And why wouldn't they be if they're that old? The guy actually, he adds the raw material, and he's built himself like a four-sided form, and he puts the material in, adds some moisture, and then tamps it down. One guy, a stick with a flat plate on the bottom. Tap, 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 tap.
Yeah.
And he builds it up and builds it up. And at the end of it, you take the form down. There you go. Now your next form that you go along the way is only a three-sided form. And you add the stuff, you pound it, tap, 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 tap. And it looks like there's absolutely no gap in between the two stone blocks. They're two separate stone blocks. But there isn't a gap there because you've got the material right up into your first block that you made, if you follow me. But
can I do a screen share?
Yeah, sure, man. Let me jump over to that other thing.
I've got some screenshots of at least one picture that I want to show you that almost definitively proves that geopolymers were used.
Did we lose your audio?
Yeah, hey, Freddie.
Is running slower.
There
we go.
When is the pyramids first ever written about? It's not that long ago, huh?
I'm not sure, actually. I don't know that. I've never researched it, but I know that they should be mentioned in the Bible if that text is 2,000 years old and they were got stories about, Moses and whatnot, right?
Well, it was written after the 300s, right? After the Council of Nicaea.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a religious scholar by any way, you know. Ask me about what kind of tire is better than the other type of tire. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I wonder where I put this.
Wrangler Duratrax.
Okay, before I get out of this folder, let me just back up just a little bit, because we were talking about Babylonian shit and how the cultures and symbols were the same all around the world. This is a picture of Marduk and Tiamat from Babylonia or Sumeria. And then this is a Hindu picture of essentially exactly the same thing that's much older than the Babylonian. It's exactly the same story and almost identical. In fact, I'll even put them side by side so that you can see the comparison. And look at what we have here is the warrior or the hero is in the same position. He's chasing the winged creature, Tiamat. So Marduk, if you look at the way he's dressed, he's got this long flowing sort of a tunic. And then he's also got wings. And his one hand is up in the air with the weapon. His other hand is facing forward. And on the left side, in the Babylonian, his hand is up in the air. His other hand is facing forward. He doesn't hold the tail, but what he is holding is the cosmic thunderbolt in both of his hands. Maybe hard to see. Let me see if I can. It's going to pixelate it.
I mean, according to who? According to who? Like, this is the same stuff that like Zechariah Sitchin would push. You know, he'd push like some fake pictures, and you know what I mean. Like when you look into it, it's all like who exactly said this person is this person. You know what I mean? Like, where are you getting this information from?
Well, this information doesn't come particularly from Zechariah Sitchin. This information, particularly the Marduk and Tiamat, this is pretty well known. This is undisputed. You can either take my word for it or go look into it and find where I'm wrong. But this is, in fact, Marduk and Tiamat, widely known. The other one is something I discovered not too long ago, that this is from the Vedas. So this is ancient Hindu rock relief. So, I mean, essentially, it's the same character doing the same thing, chasing a winged creature, and he's carrying these cosmic weapons. So, I subscribe to the Thunderbolts Project or the Electric Universe thesis, where they work off of the work of Immanuel Velikovsky and his work, where he talks about this ancient, basically the war of the gods, which is a common theme among ancient cultures all around the world, this war of the gods. And basically what it boils down to is that it was the planets. There was a planetary alignment roughly about 12,000 years ago.
Yeah, I don't believe in no planets. Sorry.
You don't believe in you're a flat earth? You don't believe in space and planets and shit like that?
Nah. That's bullshit. We've been told. We've been programmed. You could get a P900, look at the stars and the planets, and they aren't solid structures. They're just lights in the fucking sky, and they're close. So I just find it all hard to believe.
Well, I'm happy to have that debate with anybody, because I'll debate anybody on flat Earth, and we can do it now or later on or on my show.
Well, there's no debate. I mean,
if you guys are going to be civil to each other, which I know you both will be. And you're going to debate flat. I know, but there's. Here we go.
You either accept it or you don't. Obviously, you don't accept it, and I do, because they've had laser tests recently, and they're showing no curves. So,
who's had laser tests? Don't dare tell me Jeranism.
D Marble.
Okay,
what's wrong with Jeranism?
Jeranism is for the money. Ignorant. He's either ignorant or he's disingenuous. That's what's wrong with Jeranism.
Jeranism had good stuff on NASA at the start for sure, like 3 years ago.
Do you have a laser test that shows a curve besides the Discovery Channel bullshit?
No, I don't. I don't need one.
Yeah. So we're not gonna agree on this.
Hang on.
We're not gonna agree on this.
Just real quick, before we get into this, I found the picture I wanted to show you. This is Egypt. Okay, this is, I think, if I remember correctly, this is I think this is the King's Temple or something like that. Basically, this is a red granite wall with all these relief carvings, okay? And in the center, you see a layer that's peeled away, and behind it is a polygonal brick structure behind it. So what this shows is that they were able to make a red granite geopolymer and smear it on the wall like a paste or like a plaster, and then it would harden into a granite. And you can see behind it, there's just a thin layer of this granite, and behind it, you can see that there's a brick structure made out of small polygonal stones. So there's that. That's what I wanted to show you guys about regarding the geopolymer. This is almost guaranteed to prove that they were using geopolymers.
Well, in certain instances, I could see that, but I don't see it with all the giant stones that are.
I agree.
And just some of the interlocking, like even the walls, some of the walls that are built in certain areas where they're used as just structures. It's not likely that that's just a form. It looks definitely like interlock. I did masonry for a few years. That's my shirt. It's not. I'm not a Freemason. It's a like actual hammer brick mason, and it definitely looks like real interlock. It doesn't look like patterned concrete forms. You know what I mean?
Well, it's possible that these multi-sided stones, like I guess there's one in Peru that's got like 11 or 12 or something sides to it. It's possible that was poured into some sort of a bag. The bag is since disintegrated, and the stone remains in that shape of, you know what I mean? Like if you pour a wet slurry into a form, it's going to take that form. So I don't really know about the amount of, it was either the most incredible masonry ever, or there's a simpler explanation for how you get the whatever sided stone I'm thinking of from down in Peru.
30-foot tall giant humans with big muscles.
Well, hey man, but some of those, like,
you never know.
Those big stones on the top of that Mayan or Aztec city there, they're mind-blowing if you think that a human being or a bunch of them grabbed a stone that's 60 tons or more. I don't even know, but like
just shit. Our cranes can't even move some of these stones.
Cranes can't, but
they got the Trelleborn stones in Lebanon that are 900 and 1100 tons.
Yep.
Now that's astronomical weight to imagine human beings moving around. I'm not going to dare speculate how that was done.
With Rufus, because I know he's against a lot of that flat Earth stuff, it sounds. But did you believe in all the NASA stuff that they are showing, like where it clearly seems like they're lying? Like, do you think the moon stuff was fake at least and all that?
No, I mean I'm not that kind of naive. I don't believe for a second we went to the moon when we said we did and the way they said that we did.
Right.
So I'm totally on board with the fake moon landing. I'm also understanding.
What about the Mars rover? How they had like 3 years of a little robot driving around sending back video feed from a million miles away and all that shit.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much stock I put in that stuff either.
That's why it's hard for me to find where are they not lying. You know what I mean?
And I've seen the bubbles in space and shit like that. Okay, and I've seen some of the outright fakery from the ISS. Right, the wires are hanging on and shit. Yeah. I've seen the green screens that they use for some of the NASA footage. So I'm totally on board with the fact that NASA is a pack of fucking liars. They were started by a group of Nazis. They're still run by a group of Nazis.
Yeah.
So I'm totally on board with that. But that's
why I think where it goes down though for people is like, well, where does the lie stop? So it takes you down that rabbit hole of flat Earth, simulation Earth, electric Earth, whatever it is. But it doesn't seem like it's a spinning ball when you start going down these rabbit holes.
Okay, well, that's a matter of perception. Just because it doesn't seem like it's a spinning ball, I understand. It doesn't seem like it. Okay.
Yeah,
that's a logical fallacy.
How do you explain the North Star never moves ever? How do you explain it?
They bring up the Southern Star though, and that's a hard one to not.
The North Star never moves.
That's the one I was going to bring up. The Southern Star. There's a circumpolar. It's not dead center like the North Star, but there is without a doubt.
What does that have to do with the North Star? That's what every time I bring this up, they talk about the Southern Star. But what does that have to do with the North Star? The North Star never moves.
Yeah, I agree.
How do you know?
You can point a stick at it, and it will always get it. Find a North Star in the sky, point a stick at it in your backyard or whatever. It will never move from that position ever. The North Star never moves.
No, not ever. No. That's a logical fallacy. If I put a stick in the ground, I can't live long enough to prove ever, that word ever.
Okay. All right.
But that's same with the dating of the Earth, and you
So
can't
now
prove that
you
this
wanna
dating
you
is
wanna
right,
argue like little points like that. I mean, seriously, dude.
Well, what do you mean little points like that? You're using words like ever. It doesn't move ever.
Okay, not ever. Okay, let's say you
That's-
put a stick wherever pointing to the North Star.
I hear
A
you.
year from now, it's not going to move.
So what?
So we're not
It's
rotating.
It's the problem of the physical observation that
What do you mean
people
we're
are seeing.
not
Like we're seeing the.
We're not rotating like they tell us. We're not rotating.
And you know that because you put a stick in the ground and you looked at the North Star? That's how you know that?
No, look, they tell us that we're spinning 1,000 miles per hour and we're going around the sun 66,000 miles per hour. And also the Milky Way's doing another fucking spin. Okay.
Yeah, something like 500 million miles an hour.
So in a year, we're going 66,000 miles per hour around the sun, right? 6 months from now, how come we still see the same stars in the sky? How is that possible?
For thousands of years, the
Please
same
repeat the last
constellations.
sentence you broke up from.
We would be on the other side of the sun 6 months from now. Wouldn't night and day flip? If you look at when you look at how the planet spins allegedly on an axis, and how is there an axis if there's no up and down and everything's relative? How is there an axis?
There's an axis because it's relative to the North Pole and South Pole of the sun's axis. It's just relative to the angular pole.
6 months from now, okay, here's the sun right here. You're on the other side of the sun. Why doesn't night and day flip?
What do you mean? What do you specify? What do you mean it doesn't flip? It does flip.
You can't picture this in your mind? They're telling us we're spinning, okay? 24 hours, we do a complete spin at 1,000 miles per hour. 6 months from now, going 66,000 miles per hour, we're on the other side of the sun.
Yep.
Okay, so where the sun was 6 months ago, the sun is on the other side of the earth now, according to them.
Day should be night, night should be day at this time.
Day should be night and night should be day.
You can't picture it. You get some tennis balls and get a big basketball.
Look,
okay,
it's not like I can't picture it. I just don't understand the connection you're trying to make. I mean, seriously.
Why you don't understand what I'm saying? Take a basketball. That's the sun, right? Take a tennis ball, and that's supposed to be spinning. Okay, you put one side day side, put the other side night side. The side opposite of the sun, that's the dark side. Okay, so you spin that around. 6 months later, you're on the other side of that basketball. Night and day should be flipped, but it isn't.
What do you?
They probably have it broken down to by the way we're spinning. We're spinning with it. Like I'm assuming the science have it broken down and their math equations have it broken down in the way that it would work. So I wouldn't say that argument could work, but
I mean,
they've never proven rotation.
I mean, you don't notice that when you wake up in the morning in the summertime, when you're on one side of the earth, that the sun rises at, let's say, 5:36 a.m.
The sun never rises.
And in the wintertime,
it comes in from far away. The sun never rises or sets. It comes from far away. It's circling us.
Actually, that's not true at all. And all you need is a very simple solar filter on any particular camera, and you can see that the sun doesn't change size in perspective when it moves towards us.
But wait, I got a question.
You don't need a solar filter. You need a infrared. And people are doing this now, and they're showing no curve for hundreds of miles.
Well, wait, with the sunrise, because with the globe model, they're saying it's the Earth tilting. The sun isn't like we're moving towards. So wouldn't it be the Earth is because it's not the sun rising, technically, right? Wouldn't it be us tilting towards the sun?
Look, I understand the flat Earth model, and I understand that you guys.
There is no model. There's people that believe there's a model. I'm
just confused on everything because you know what I mean. I know we've been lied to about everything.
There's no model. Like I don't know. I'm not a cartographer, and I'm not traveling the world. So, you know, there are flat earthers that believe there's a dome and there's some model and there's an ice wall. I'm not one of those people.
Well, okay, if you're not one of those people, then how might you explain the motions of the planets, the retrograde motions of the planets?
I'm not talking about the motions of the planet. That has nothing to do with this Earth. There is no curve.
Okay, regardless of whether you believe there's a curve or not, they're
telling us
you can see the stars move.
The sky doesn't have anything to do with the ground.
Okay.
The sky it has nothing to do with the ground. Show us a curve. You know, everyone wants to talk shit, but they can't show this curve. And we're doing laser tests now showing there is no curve according to their curvature formula. So to me, there is no debate.
The flaws in the laser tests?
What?
There are two major flaws in the laser test. Number one, the spread. The laser spreads out over a certain distance. And the further the distance, the wider the spread. So you can't get an accurate laser test. That's almost impossible to do with an amateur laser, even an expensive amateur laser.
Yeah, that's what people always say, you know.
Always say that's a fact. Lasers spread out.
It's not a fact. It depends on the laser. It depends on the laser and how powerful it is.
No, it doesn't depend on how powerful it is. It depends on the function of the laser. And
it's a waste of my time to talk to you because no matter what I say, you're gonna say no. You know,
no, it's okay to have different. It's okay to have different opinions. It's just you put out your thoughts and he puts out his, and people come to their own conclusion.
That's why I'm saying like there's no debate. You either believe it or you don't.
No, that's dogma. Bro. That's dogma. That
you gotta have discussion. Okay. Yeah, you gotta have discussion.
Think whatever. You know what I'm saying.
You either believe it or you don't. That is dogma.
Okay, think whatever you want to say. You know what I'm saying. You want to argue semantics now? That's a logical fallacy.
Semantics? No, when you say you either believe it or not, that is a definition of a dogma.
Okay, I misspoke. Okay, think. You either think the world is a globe or you think it is flat. I think it is flat because they can't show a curvature according to their own formula.
That's not true. You have other options than that. You can be like me and be like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't know, you know, because we're going by their what they told us. But all I know is that what they told us is a lie.
We're Earthlings.
All right. Well, let's go back for just a moment to the southern stars.
It has nothing to do with the ground.
See, this is where you don't want to talk about it. Who cares about the ground? The motion of the stars simply proves it can't be flat.
The stars are moving. But we are not moving.
It doesn't seem like everything's moving around us and we're not moving through. Like it's because if the constellations stayed the same for thousands of years and they've always mapped out the same constellations, you would think that they would have changed from the thousands of years ago mapping. That's why it throws people. But me, I'm a big dummy. I got like straight D's, so I can't.
Well, don't forget that all the stars that we see, almost all of them are from our own Milky Way, which are in fact moving with us around the center of the galaxy. So
right, but that's what I think. Everything's so perfectly synced. You know.
So they're all pretty much moving in the same direction, and so yeah, any change that's going to happen is going to take millions or billions and billions of years for a tiny change to even occur.
You know what I find funny, if I may interject my own personal observation on this reality.
I like funny.
When I hang something from my rearview mirror and I go around in a corner, it sways out of the way because of inertia of that corner, right? And we're spinning at X amount of miles an hour. I don't know what it is, and
1,000 at the equator, and it changes. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it goes down or whatever. I can't feel that inertia of that spin when I'm standing on the planet, but I can.
And it doesn't change if you go to the equator. You're not going to feel different either if you go to one part of the world as the other.
You don't. But the inertia of me taking a corner at 15 kilometers an hour moves that little pendulum that I've got hanging there.
That's because that's the change of inertia.
The change of inertia.
Mm-hmm. You're not going to.
But isn't it bizarre? Isn't it bizarre that we don't feel the inertia of the body that we're standing on?
No, it's not bizarre. It's not bizarre because you're moving in exactly the same direction. It's exactly the same principles if you're on a fast-moving train or an airplane. And if you walk up and down the aisle of an airplane that's moving at say 500 miles an hour, you don't feel the motion of that plane.
What if the windows are open on the airplane or the car? What if the windows are open?
What if they are? Of course you're going to feel the wind. The wind isn't moving.
On this alleged planet, the windows are open. So
no, on this alleged planet, the air moves with us. It's the same as being inside an airplane.
Yeah. What about
there's no talking to you if you believe that. You know what I mean? If we're spinning 1,000 miles per hour, you should jump up and go 1,000 miles from here.
Everybody, last I checked.
You think so? You think we're in this like dome atmosphere? Is like a dome, and like everything moves perfectly with 1,000 miles per hour?
Wait, that's the one point I want to break down is where because they'll use that they'll say where if you shoot a cannonball, it goes in and it'll go a direction. It's going to land somewhere else because of the spin of the Earth. But if you fly one direction, the spin doesn't affect you when you're flying 500 miles. You're spinning one way. But if you shoot a cannonball, that's going to affect where the cannonball lands because of the spin of the earth or when you shoot a bullet. So I don't see how that works on one way, but it doesn't work when you're flying because they say we're stuck to the atmosphere.
Have you ever been duck hunting or quail hunting?
Yeah, well, I've been clay shooting.
Okay, so that you know that when you're tracking with your gun and something is moving laterally side to side, that before you pull the trigger, that you have to be moving, the gun has to be moving when you pull the trigger, and you have to keep moving, you have to follow through, right?
Yep.
You know this.
Yep.
That's because the motion of the gun puts pressure on the bullet on the sidewall, because if you stop the gun motion, then the bullet's going to go absolutely straight. That's why you have to follow through, because it puts a little tiny bit of extra pressure on that bullet on the sidewall of the inner portion of the barrel. That's why. That's why when you shoot a cannon up in the air, because the cannon and the barrel and the cannonball and the air are all moving with the earth at whatever speed. At the equator, it's 1,000 miles.
So with the Coriolis effect, they say it works like when you're shooting a cannonball, it's going to land one way, but the Coriolis effect doesn't affect when you're flying the opposite direction of the spin of the earth or with the dirt. You know what I mean? How does that's where it loses me in my straight D mind.
Well, when you're flying, it takes a whole lot longer to reach your destination than it does if you shoot a gun or a cannon.
Yeah.
So
as
you're
talking about the spin of the earth and the 500 miles.
Either the pilot or the computer-controlled airplane is making micro adjustments due to air currents and navigation. So these are micro adjustments that happen all along the way. This doesn't happen once you fire a bullet. There's no adjustments. It just goes. That's why the Coriolis effect doesn't affect airplanes, but it does affect cannons and bullets. But honestly, I really want to get back to the Southern Stars because he says that it has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth. It absolutely does.
I mean, you think we're spinning in reference to them, and you could look in the sky and you could see the sun move across the sky. You could see the moon and all the stars move across the sky. We don't move,
except that when you look at the Southern Stars, they have a central point of location. They circle around a central location. There's not a star in that dead center point like in the north, but there is a rotational point. There's a central point of rotation in the Southern Stars. That absolutely is physically impossible on any flat Earth.
But if you're saying it is off to the point, what if it's just that the Earth's so big, but we're the bottom, and that if it's off to that point, that's where it's circling around over there, and then up here it's circling around at the point over the North Star?
Yeah, that's only possible on a sphere.
Is it? Okay.
And further, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere,
I'm sorry.
What about the physics of water?
I've heard all this before. It proves nothing to me. I'm sorry.
What do you do about the physics of water part when they say how does the water stick to the outer surface of a
Where's the convex
sphere?
water? Show us the convex water. Show us the curve. Those are the 2 points you can never answer.
That's a hard one for me to get through.
That's because
all you could do is bring up the Southern Star. That's it. That's all you got.
What do you mean that's all? That is enough. You just can't get a Southern Star rotation on any flat Earth. It just can't happen. It's just not physically possible.
I don't have that part memorized, but I've looked into it, and it doesn't prove anything.
As Eddie Bravo would say, look into it.
There's videos on it. You can look at Eric Dubé has a video on it. It doesn't prove anything.
I've looked at Eric Dubé, and his explanations are terrible.
Well, that's your opinion.
Okay, in some points. He's got some good points.
Hey, regardless on the opinion or the shape, we all agree that we're being run by clowns. So that's when when I see the debate on, and when I see people lose their tempers at each other, I find it very, very, very brain deading. It doesn't matter. There's some debates. It doesn't matter that you got a flat earther.
It is a big one, though, if they're hiding that. That is a big one.
Oh, it's huge, but it's the point of they are hiding it. And it's
exactly.
We're all worried about why we all probably ended up in this chat, right? There's
I'm really not heated. I'm just responding to his heatedness.
I know.
I mean, I've heard all this before. We could argue all day. It's just like arguing religion. We're not
I was thinking that I could maybe, because Rufus has been involved in one of my 8-hour streams before, so I could catch 4 or 5 hours sleep, come back, and you guys would still be talking count. point
Hey, I
counter.
respect what he has to say on this other stuff, but when it comes to flat Earth, we're just never going to agree. So it's just
But you
pointless
guys are
to
in
rehash these
agreement.
points. You know what I mean?
Everybody that's in this chat agrees that, it's if it was the biggest lie ever told to us as mankind, it was them that told us this lie. And the
Look,
reality is, it's kind of, I've seen so many debates on flat Earth and stuff, but it's a belief system. It's like trying to convince a Muslim to be a Christian. It's a belief of
Well,
your
that's easy.
reality, right? No, but you know what I'm saying, though, guys.
I'm joking,
It's like the main point of our
I mean, the
or
globe is a
anything
belief. You don't see a globe. You don't see a curvature. You're told that as a child.
I
That's the
don't
belief.
I
You see a
don't
flat horizon at any height. So
all
I,
right.
I
Do you
believe that I get lied to by government continuously in everything I see with media and everything else. And I know that to be true. I don't know what I'm sitting on. And it doesn't matter to me because the leaders of this planet are horrible. And that's what everything should be focused on is government corruption
Well,
and illegal
that-
wars, right?
what you're saying, okay, it doesn't matter,
Yes.
but what you're saying is that what we're saying is basically don't accept science just okay because someone said that. Look into it. Try to prove it.
I agree with that. I don't think we should accept anything that anyone has said. Oh yeah, it's done. It's proved. It's
If
whatever.
it's
The
theoretical,
whole
if it's a theory,
scientific
it's not
method-
proven.
The whole scientific method is about being able to repeat and repeat and repeat and come up with the same conclusion, right?
Yep.
Because and a lot of shit in this world is theoretical. A lot of stuff.
Gravity is a theory. It's not proven. It's
Yeah,
never been proven.
I can agree with both sides of this argument. I don't, it's just like global warming being 100%
Gravity is not
gonna happen,
proven?
right?
No, it's not proven.
Well, it is the
You're
theory
going to
of
tell me the
gravity.
Cavendish experiment means something? It's not
If you
proven.
guys
It's
are gonna-
buoyancy and density in relation to the air.
You do realize that there is no such thing as buoyancy and density without some unseen force pulling on that object, right? Buoyancy and density don't work without the unseen force for
Wouldn't it be
which we call gravity. Now,
wouldn't it be
whether or
the
not,
mass?
look,
Wouldn't
I
it be the mass
agree with
that's
you
pulling?
that scientists do not know how to explain the force of gravity, but without question,
Exactly.
there is an unseen force that we call and give the term gravity.
You don't think that's the weight, the mass of whatever is holding it down, and then if it's lighter, like
What do you
helium,
mean weight? You can't have weight without gravity.
no, it's the mass of you, your actual weight. What something is made out of, it goes to the ground. If it's lighter than air, it rises.
Then what force is pulling it down?
Not the weight of it. Your weight is just you're
Really?
just
And
there.
why doesn't it go up then?
Because
Why doesn't it go up?
what would make it go up? What would go up? What would you go up to?
We're
I don't understand.
heavier than air. We are heavier than air. That's
I don't understand.
Heavier.
You think we would float away to space? I don't understand.
I'm trying to get you to understand that buoyancy and density don't work without the unseen force
They
known as
can't
gravity.
prove gravity. The whole point is it's called the theory of gravity, and they can't prove it.
They can't prove what causes it.
You think something is holding us to the ground, though?
I mean, it's like magnetism. You can't see magnetism. It doesn't mean that there's no such thing as an unseen force known as magnetism. You want to call magnetism a theory?
No,
That
we can
doesn't.
see magnets work. We can see that.
Yeah, and we can see
Magnetism can be proven.
Sure.
Gravity can't.
I don't think we're being pulled to the ground. I think we're on the ground because this is the bottom.
If there's
And what
no
we see
gravity,
above us is above us.
we're not upside down. Nobody's upside down on a ball. It's very simple, but you refuse to accept it.
I'm not refusing to accept it. I think it's the other way around.
It's been such.
So I mean, look.
we're never gonna
Most
agree.
flat earthers are in the camp of religion. So when you
Yeah.
say things like the
Not
stars
me.
rotate around the earth, I don't know where you are, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. But when you say that the stars rotate around the earth, are you in the camp that says, "Well, God did it"? Because I mean, how else do you explain the stars rotating around the earth? So there's got to be some
they don't-
mechanism for that, right?
No, they rotate above. You could see them going clockwise above. From where I'm at, they go clockwise.
They rotate above. So what if you're in the southern hemisphere? You
I don't
can't
think. Look, I'm not one of these
see-
people
on
that
a,
think.
on a flat plane. You should be able to see all the constellations at all times. And when you're in the southern
Why?
hemisphere,
Why?
the other,
Why should we be able to see them all? Because we have
Only see
limited
so far.
vision. Telescopes are limited. Our eyes are limited. Radio waves are limited. We can't see forever.
telescopes
You
are
think
limited.
you think we could look? You think we could see trillions of miles away? Because the nearest star is 2.6 light years away. That's 15 trillion miles away. You think you could see 15 trillion miles away? I don't think so. If you get a fucking P900, you could zoom in on these stars. They're just lights flashing. That's all they are.
It
And
appears
they're
that way.
close. They're not trillions of miles away. Telescopes have limited range.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, have you ever looked through an 8-inch telescope? There's videos
Yes.
on YouTube.
As a matter of fact, I have.
So have you ever looked at Venus or Mars?
Yes. In fact, I don't have an 8-inch, but I've got and I have looked through 8-inch, but I do have it. I do have a cheap.
Look at Venus, and you're telling me that's a planet? That's
I do have a cheap. I do have a cheap 4-inch, and it's a cheap one. It's an old one. But I can zoom in on Saturn, and I can see the rings of Saturn and the moons of Saturn, and I can zoom in on Jupiter when it's close, and it is close right now. And I looked at it last week, and I can see the 2 red stripes, the red spot, and about 5 moons.
Okay. What about the stars that are just right here? You could zoom in on them, but there's supposed to be trillions of. The nearest one is 15 trillion miles away.
So
you can't see 15 trillion miles away with your eyes or with a telescope. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, that's just an argument that's just going to go in circles. Well,
Isn't it?
That's a belief system. You can either believe that light travels,
You
even if it takes a long time.
You think radio waves? We can get radio waves from Mars from million miles away. What kind of transmitter is that? What's the frequency? It's bullshit. What happens when the planet, the alleged what happens when the alleged planet spins or when Mars spins and we're still getting those radio waves a million miles away? It's bullshit.
I don't know if you heard me, but you totally broke up and I didn't hear a word you said.
I said when they're transmitting from Mars on the rover that's really on Devon Island. How is that possible?
It's my internet.
I'm not here.
You're not hear you. Sorry.
He's using the "I can't hear you" tactic. No, I'm joking.
No,
I got to jump off though, guys. My kids are all up.
If you just repeat yourself.
I got to jump off soon too because Lanny's kids are all off and we're just,
hey, fuck you, man. All right, my friends, I got to run though.
It wouldn't be the first time I left Rufus in charge of this live stream.
I don't.
It was good talking to you all, though. May you all be Earthlings.
Yes. May we all be human beings.
That's right. Let's all get along, right?
Yeah, well, it can be.
I'm gonna go too, man. Like we're never gonna agree on this.
Never gonna end, man. It's just, but we all know.
Hey, it's good to have open discussion, though. It doesn't matter, even if everyone doesn't agree. It's still good to put it the points because people in the chat might be like, "Oh, I let me look into it," or "Oh, this guy's an ass." But either way, it's good to put every thought out there, I think.
Yeah, I just know that I don't know.
Out of here, Freddie.
Hey, Roof. Do you believe that we've ever been to space? Like ever?
Internet.
I don't know, Roof. I can hear you pretty good, Rufus.
Assalamu salama.
Right, man. You have a great day with the family, man. Enjoy your outing.
Hey, you know it's raining diamonds on your anus, right? That's according to NASA.
That one my bum hurts. Fuck. Yeah. Hey guys, I'm gonna probably call this because I am freaking tired and I'm gonna probably sleep till mid-afternoon again. But that's my life and I love it.
Hi, Freddie.
Can you guys hear me at all?
I can hear you, Roof. Rufus, Earth to Rufus.
My computer is glitching right now. What's going on the top of my screen? If you can hear me, guys, I'm just going to have to bail out because this shit is fucked up.
Okay, well, thanks for coming by, Rufus. Always a pleasure. Thanks, GM, Treach, Lanny.
And then you cut out on me. All right.
No, have a good day, guys. Fucking like and respect everyone. I will talk to you all later. I am bagged. Can't even speak anymore. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.